Get started here pretty soon. I'm gonna jump right in. They go under? Did they go under? That's too bad. That's really too bad. I hate to say it, there's just not a demand for smart games. People want stupid games. Not this week. No. We got to do configuration and stuff. I would love to start Go this week, but I don't think we can, to tell you the truth. I mean, we have an option. I'll put it to the group and you guys can decide. But we have to cover bash configuration. That is a frog. I don't know if Go can come right after bash, because we still have to do Tmux config, Vim config, bash RC, and then we need to go. But at the same time we do go, we need to do git. So we have to do git or go first. I don't know which one's first. We should probably do git and GPG right after that. I mean, because right now you're still not using your shell to its full extent. There's still a lot of things you're not using in your shell. So before we jump into the Go development, it's going to be, I mean, because there's a bunch of things we're going to have to do. Like, for example, we're going to have to install the Go, the Vim Go plugin, and you need to know how to configure Vim for that. So we're going to get there, though. I don't know if it'll be today. I know people don't like the pace because it's too slow, but then when it's too fast, they drop off. Either way, there's a lot to learn, It's like I don't know how to speed it up any faster. So it's too bad for Zachtronics. So let's jump in. We're going to 6 now. So the first thing to let everybody know is that the time change, there's been a time change. So we are now officially going to do boosting. Let me see if I can get the cal for you. So by the way, if you want the cal, you can just do cal or schedule and you'll get a link to it. And you can follow this, just a reminder, you can click down here if you have Google, or you can have a dummy account so you don't care if they track you, and click on calendar and you can get notified when stuff starts up. Yeah, updating ENV vars and stuff. Yeah, Tony Fa, I'm right there with you. That's why we have to do bash config. So yeah, I mean, you just have to understand development in a Linux environment before we can really jump into Go. But I do want us to do that. I don't care how long it takes. We're going to cover Go. So we might be doing a boost, from May to December, and I'm totally fine with that. And that will give us pretty much December to May to prepare for the next boost if it takes that long. But I would rather have complete content than a bunch of you should go learn this and then have people not doing it, and then have them go through if they want to do it. That means the people who really care to learn will stick with it, and they'll have something to help them go along all the way. How's it going? There really aren't any shortcuts. People keep wanting, okay, I want to talk about this for just a second, okay? Because people want like an 8-week boot camp and they want a $200,000 salary. No, that's not how it works. It's not how it works. And by the way, even the people who even make it through the boot camps, most of them would have been fine if they hadn't gone to a boot camp. The boot camp just motivated them. But how many hours do people put in when they go to a boot camp? The people are going to the boot camp, right? And they were learning. They were going through the boot camp, and they've been learning. I talked to several boot camp people, and they go through and they focus really well, whether it be Galvanize or any of these decent boot camps out there, or even the free ones like Free Code Camp. That's Free Code Camp has a minimum of 2,000 hours of project work after you finish the whole entire thing. 2,000 hours. I mean, if you add up all the hours that we've been sitting here in these booths, and I'm not ranting, I'm just clarifying. If you add up all the hours we've been sitting here between for 4 hours every Sunday, going through at a regular pace together, because that's what everybody wanted. And we've been working about 4 hours at a time, and we've only been doing this for 12 weeks. That's 40 total hours. So as compared to an intense boot camp, like with Galvanize or something like that, where they're working 80 to 90 hours a week, 80 to 90 hours a week for 8 weeks. So, do the math, right? If we're going to stretch this out because people don't have time for it, and some will be watching this and they'll have already skipped over this little rant because they want to get to the meat of the stuff and they want to get going. And that's fine. And that's why I'm doing all of this way, so that come next January, I can say, go back and fast forward through all the boot camp, through all the boost stuff, and then you can cram it into 3 or 4 weeks if you want to. Right? So if you program for 8 hours a day, every day, that's about 2,000 hours. Yeah, it is. It's about 2,000 hours. So, 2 to 4,000 hours is pretty decent for starting out. For starting out. I mean, that's not even counting adding, code. I don't want to discourage people, but I also don't want to sugarcoat things. People, you've got to do it. Well, my fuse long before that. Yeah, people do. We tried to do that, by the way. The first year I did a boost. I did it during the summer because I thought, oh, people will have all the time to dedicate that they want. And we did 3 hours a day, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I went from having like 600 people on the stream to maybe 50 within 4 weeks because nobody wanted to keep up at that pace. They couldn't do it. And I was like, okay, fine. We'll keep that. And then the next year we tried to slow things down a little bit more. And then this year we're slowing them down even more. And it's not, I don't resent it. I'm just telling you the truth. That's just the prequel. Hi, by the way. Yeah. You can do it, but don't expect to absorb that knowledge in a couple of weeks and be deliberate in what you learn. Absolutely. Tony Fa knows. Tony Fa's been around the block and knows how to learn. Or way more from last boots when I slowed down and didn't speed up the video. Really interesting. And so this is kind of forced slowing down, I think, is what we're doing now. And then the option of speeding up, right? I'm actually looking forward to the results in January when we have a few people who want to cram all of this boost back to back and stuff it all into like 40 hours, 60 hours, something like that. Because you really could just sit down and skip past all this blah, blah, blah stuff and just code with me while you're doing it. And it would all be there. So, the entire content would be there. Speaking of which, so what are we doing today? First of all, I just wanted to tell you about the new time change. We're going to 2 p.m. I don't know all the reasons, but it just seemed to work better with my calendar now. Something new, too, for everybody else who doesn't know. We're doing question and answer sessions every day from 6:30 to 7. They are recorded. They are put on YouTube. It's like the second playlist on YouTube. So if you want to go read them, we've had lots of interesting questions: how to manage your sleep, how to negotiate salaries with your employer. We've had some really good conversations. So it's a renewed commitment on my part, hopefully, to produce daily content to YouTube that is relevant to what people are asking questions about. And then the rest, I tried to combine AMA with my skateboarding and jogging and stuff, and that didn't work because, we answered a lot of questions, but not in any way that I could ever publish to YouTube. So that's kind of where we are. I'm going to go ahead and turn the music off, and we'll turn that back on during the break. So here we are into this. We're going to go till 6, then we'll take a break for dinner or whatever, and then we'll come back. Again, I just want to let you know you can be notified of changes to the calendar. This is the authority on what I'm doing, and I tend to go back and change things. In a perfect world, I would actually be adding links to the YouTube or to the Twitch video after I finish something in here. So if you can just click on the date and go back and then click on what happened. We had a kind of a fun we had a really fun time at the Bluegrass on Friday night. If you like bluegrass music at all, that was a really, really fun IRL stream. I got pretty drunk, and then I sobered up. It was a fun night. But if you'd rather just stay with the coding and stuff like that, you can, always trust the boost on Sunday afternoons. So it'll be from 2 to 6. This is mostly just so that the times wrap up at the same time that I've already been doing other things. It also gives me a little bit more time Sunday morning, do stuff with my family. And that's it. Let's jump in. Let's jump right into it. So we covered Bash. We've covered Bash for the last 3 weeks, actually, 2 weeks. And last week we did the bulk of it. The week before that we did variables and stuff. And you can go back and look at any of this. I don't need to tell you. You can go to the Boost website and you can get, rbxrob/boost, and you can click on that and get the stuff. The videos have not had any of these details added to them. I will add that when I finish the series. But for right now, I'm just kind of going through it. And so we thought we were going to be able to finish all of Bash last time, but there's some serious stuff that we still need to cover. Compound data types, which I really feel like we need to cover, especially since you'll understand them better when we go to Go. We need to do recursion and loops and stuff like that. We need to learn how to read data. We need to deal with arguments from the command line. We need to learn how to read data so you can create Unix filters. And some more stuff about special variables, environment variables. And then for the rest of the day today, we will be doing configuration and customization of your terminal. at least the bash part of your terminal. And we're going to discuss the advantages of bash over Z shell for this kind of thing, and reasons that you might want to stick with a singular configuration file, and how you can make that transportable and usable anywhere very quickly, and why that matters. And that will conclude the bash configuration, and that will free us to start to do other things that require knowledge of that stuff on the terminal, such as coding in Go or customizing VI. If we have time today, we'll start in the Vim configuration and the Tmux. We have another 3 sort of small modules, but important modules that we have to do before we get to Go. And one of them, the bash RC stuff, the configuration, that's the most important. We're going to need to do Vim configuration. We're going to need to do Tmux configuration, which is this, this Windows stuff that I'm doing, right? Then we're going to need to do GitHub. We're going to need to set up GitHub. And to set up GitHub, we're going to need to understand SSH, which we've already done a little bit, but we're going to need to return to it. And we're going to need to do very minimal amount of GPG, which is a way to prove that you are who you say you are, and is required if you're going to do Git commits. So, and then we also have to cover Git. That's a number of tools, and I was thinking about that. We had the option kind of like doing Go before we do that, or doing it after, and I feel like Go should really be the last thing that we do. And the reason for that is because all of this other stuff is setting you up with a phenomenal terminal development environment that many people use besides me, including several live streamers. So your plugins, we're going to absolutely talk about plug and why to use that versus plugin and all that stuff. So if we don't get to, we're going to do as much configuration today as we can. But if not, I really hope we can finish all of the configuration stuff by the end of next week. And just to remind you, we already did kind of a fast pass through the configuration files and where they live about 3 weeks ago, just so you can get a general sense of where they are. And of course, you already have this virtual machine that's been pre-configured for you. And the reason for that, I spent a lot of time doing that. The reason for that is so you didn't have to think about configuration when you first start out, which is the same way every beginner starts out, by the way. I don't think you need to feel bad about that at all. Right, I'm gonna hit on that pretty hard later. But everybody starts out by stealing their neighbor, or the person who mentored them, by stealing their RC files, and they have no idea what they do. I didn't know what happened in my Vim RC file until I was in my 30s. I had no idea what it was doing. I just trusted really implicitly the guys whose VMRC it was, and I to this day I very bad in Vim script, and I don't really feel like you need to know it very well, but you need to be able to like decipher another thing, which is why we're doing the bash scripting, because once you have basic scripting down, you can pretty much relate that to any other scripting language. It's all the same. It's just a different flavor. So that's what we're going to do. So let's what I did. I'm going to put this one last thing out here that I'm kind of teetering on. Say, I have about 30 project-based, quick exercises. I call them mnemonic mini projects. We do like Bridge Keeper. We're using Monty Python. We do these tiny little projects that are not designed to be in your, resume or portfolio or anything, but they're designed to be fun and memorable and appeal to kids as young as 10, actually. And I did them at SKILSTAK back in 2013, 2014. I started inventing them all with the kids that I was coding with, and I still have them. They're done for Python. And we have actually gone through those mini projects in Bash before, but because we're going to be doing Go this year, I think what I would like to do is get through the essentials of Bash and then start using Bash from a configuration perspective, and writing scripts as needed to do our stuff. And hey, how's it going, Shelby? And then doing the mnemonic mini projects in Go, because when Go comes along, they'll have a lot more value. and they'll be more transportable. In fact, some of them you could actually even compile them and run them on Windows, or give it to your friend with a Mac and have them just double click it on their desktop and do Nyan Cat animation and things like that. So I've decided tentatively, unless somebody really complains, that we are not going to do the mnemonic mini projects in Bash and then Go. We're going to get through this configuration stuff and finish scripting in Bash, and then we're going to do all of that in Go. And if you want to, at the time, by then you should be pretty good with Bash. And so you'll be like, okay, how would I do this in Bash if I were going to do it in Bash? And then when if you want to learn Python, you can say, how can I do this in Python? How can I do it in JavaScript? In fact, I started a book called Polyglot Programming, where we did the same mnemonic mini projects in C, Go, JavaScript, Python, and Bash all at the same time. And you can see how each language appeals for different types of applications. I did promise early on in the boost that we were going to write a Discord bot or something like that in Go, and I still want to do that, but I'm having second thoughts about whether or not it should be a part of the boost, because the important part of the boost is that you really seize in your brain, those concepts and really internalize them. And that's why these really silly mini projects that we do are so fun. Plus they're repeatable. So you can go do it and then you can come back to it in a week and do it again. JS definitely appeals. In fact, you're going to see me, Boomer writing web development eventually again. There's some applications that I need to write. If you want to watch tonight, later on, I'll probably do some. I'm going to be writing some web code because I need to do some overlays for Twitch, and I'm going to be doing some notification code and stuff like that. And there's no better language for that than web for that. It's just the easiest. It's definitely the right tool for the job. All right, so let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to talk about, and I'm going to put a stream marker here. The first thing we last week, let's see, we were starting to do like a hello world thing, right? And to tell you the truth, I don't have a pre-baked project with regard to to compound things, but because I was actually thinking about this, when I normally do compound data types, the mnemonic mini project I do for that is something called Mad Libs. Has anybody ever done Mad Libs? Anybody ever know what that is? What Mad Libs is? Anybody know? Well, we may actually still do it. It will be a challenge for us to do it, but I want to talk about it. But it's actually a good way to practice, dictionary types and stuff like that, if you know what those are. So, but let's just go through some of the stuff we did last time. We did start by we talked about some of the extra switches. We were still doing our hello world, which I used to call not your grandma's hello world, which is kind of a bad thing to say. But because, we did regular expressions, we did conditionals, we did if statements, we did true or false, we did return. And we actually started touching on the data type, this data type right here. All right. And I'm the first one to tell you that in Bash, this stuff is not very intuitive and it looks kind of ugly compared to the more modern languages. Even Perl is more modern than Bash, where it's pretty obvious that it's a list of data items. And that's what this is, and 0 is the first one. So when people saw that the first time, they're like, I don't know what's going on there. And that's why we have to cover it. So let's do that. And let's start out with a very simple example. In fact, let's do the Magic 8-Ball program. How about that? Should we do a Magic 8-Ball program? That's a fun one, right? Everybody likes Magic 8-Ball. I cannot tell you how many times it's been a big hit with kids, young and old. So let's make a Magic 8-Ball game. And for this, we're going to use random, which we already learned. And we're going to learn the list data type, or otherwise known as an array in Bash. So, by the way, let me put all the different names. Let's say terms, alternative terms for array. Okay, so in Bash, they're called arrays. All right. So what is an array? An array, what type is an array? Array, there's like the computer type. Ooh, an array to dress or decorate in especially attractive attire. Ooh, I like that. An array is a collection of items of the same data type stored at contiguous memory locations. Okay, that's interesting. So this definition of array, which is a C definition, tells you about the inner workings of an array. And they have so many names. Whoever, throw out, just chat, whatever word you've ever heard used for an array. We're just going to throw them all out here. So I've heard them call array. What does Python call them? Python calls them lists, right? What does Java call them? Anybody know? Java's got like 5 different ways to name these things. Anybody know? Anybody ever heard? I'm going to throw it out there. Anyone ever heard array, vector? There you go. You ever heard of a vector, right? There's so many items in it. And yeah, so they call them, they're arrays, lists, vectors, array lists. Yes, there's an array list. There's just all different types. Okay, I have a question. What's a tuple? What's a tuple? Who's ever seen that word used before? Anyone? You know, these are all words that I've heard people say before. So, what the hell is that? You know, non-mutable list. Okay, so it's a list that can't be changed. That's what non-mutable means, right? We're going to get into mutability later, but that just means you can change it. Is an array of defined objects. Yeah, well, yes. Okay. So all of these alternative terms for used to reference bash arrays. Okay. Now, I mean, you can really start to split hairs with the pedantics and all of this, but at the end of the day, in bash anyway, an array is a list of things. That's it. That can be changed, by the way. So that would mean it's not a tuple, right? So it can't be changed. Tuple, pigeonholes. Yes. And you know, I personally like Python's use of definitions for these kinds of things. I think Python did a good job at creating terms that are more down to earth. So for example, they don't call them arrays, they call them lists. It's just a list, right? And if you can't change the items in the list, then it's called a tuple in Python. You know, and yes, you can add more to the end of it, right? And there's another data type called the dictionary, which we'll get to after this. But let's talk about arrays in bash and how to use them and why you might want to use them and what they are. The term array is used all over the place in other things. So like, anyone ever heard of like a satellite array? Or, you know, it's anything that's like got a bunch of things next to them is termed an array. In math, an array is an arrangement of objects such as numbers. So, you know, there's lots of cool ways to do this. All right, so we're going to help you understand this code right here and the semicolons here. I'm sorry, some of the parentheses, of course. And we're going to get into that. Okay, so we're going to start with, we're going to make a file called 8ball. How about that? And we'll chmod that thing. That's a chmod plus X. I'm just too lazy. It's an alias. And we're going to open this up. I'm going to put our shebang line in. If you don't know how to make a script, this is a good chance for you to review how to start a script, right? And we'll just do bin sh or bin bash for now. Save that. And let's go ahead. I'm going to reopen it so I get my syntax. You can reload to get that, but that's fine. So we're going to make a program. Let's write what we're going to do. So 8ball prompts. Let's see. Let's do this. Let's say, what do we want to make? Let's make it so 8ball answers any question with a random answer like the magic 8-ball toy. It will, let's see, if any argument is passed, it assumes the arguments are the question. It assumes the combined arguments, all right, are the question. Otherwise, it waits and prompts the user to type in a question and will continue to answer, to prompt an answer and prompt for subsequent questions. Okay, providing essential life advice. It's actually kind of fun. So can anybody guess how to do this right off the bat? Some of you out there, some of our veterans out there might have fun doing this right now. So if you already are kind of, seasoned programmer, and you know Bash or you know other languages and you want to pick up Bash, go ahead and just fulfill this requirement, okay? Go ahead and just make this on your own as kind of a little project, and we can compare notes. I'm going to write mine very slowly and meticulously right now, but if you want to jump right in and do yours, go for it, right? Right away, can you tell what I'm going to do? Can anybody guess what my style is when it comes to writing any script so that I can reuse the code elsewhere if I want to? It's a personal habit of mine, and I don't know. Yeah, we're going to make like a main, aren't we? Right? So you can make a main, but rather than making a main, I'm going to make an 8-ball, and I don't even know if you can name your functions with letters. We're going to find out. And if I'm going to have a function called 8-ball, I also have to call it, right? Somebody who wants to attempt this, maybe in a line or two, why would I do this? What usefulness would I have of putting my entire program into a single little function like this? Any possible value long term for that? Why would I possibly do that instead of just write it out? I mean, you can probably guess. I'll give you a little time to think about it, and I'll give you the answer. So the reason is so that I can come up here. Yeah, copy and paste imports. Toby knows. Toby remembers. Can I dox that part about you? Yeah. Good to see you, by the way. There's a good old friend in our chat today, and I mean old friend. He's been with me for a very, very long time. So anyway, so we have yeah. We've got the opportunity now to. Now I did miss something here, didn't I? What did I miss? Well, we're going to come back to that later. Right now, we're just going to call it, and we're not going to. I did miss something here if you want to notice it, but all right. So we're going to do. We need to do an 8-ball program, right? So let's see. Let's pretend like we're not going to randomize any answers at all, right? Schmox is just schmod plus x. Yeah. It's my lazy alias because I hate typing all that because I'm really lazy. I told you I'm really lazy. All right. So, let's just start by saying something basic. So, welcome to the Magic 8-Ball. Magic 8-Ball. Enter a yes or no question, and your answer will be granted. If you want to get should we go get some ASCII art? I always love that. Should we go get some Ascii art? You want to see how Ascii art's always fun. Let's do that. We're learning lists here. I promise. This is just more fun. All right, so let's go get some Ascii art. All right, so I'm going to tell you about a couple places. You could use an 8-ball emoji. Absolutely. Yeah. 8-ball. There it is. Damn it. There we go. Welcome to the Magic 8-ball. Now, something to keep in mind here. Okay, so let's actually use cat instead. And we're going to use something we haven't used before called a here variable. All right. We're going to use EOM. And we're going to put enter. And we're going to put it over here. Right. And we're going to put EOM. So what this will do is it will print out exactly what you have here, right? And you don't need the quotes. By default, it's double quoted, but if you want to put single quotes around it, it will not do replacement. That's something new you haven't learned, but you'll see that a lot. You'll see that a lot in Kubernetes. In Kubernetes, people will do this in their bash scripts, and they'll hand off a whole bunch of code, like YAML code, to kubectl-f or something. So you should know it's called a here variable, right? And you got to remember that this stuff comes into standard input of the thing, so echo doesn't work, right? In this case, you'd want to use cat, which I remembered the hard way this week while I was working with it. If you want to get fancy and you have tabs enabled, I have tab expansion on, whoops, set no, what is it, ET, and then I can do set list. See that right there? That's a tab. See that? That's another tab, right? If you put tabs in it, then you can put a slash, a dash, and it will allow you to it's a little problematic, but it then allows everything to indent if you want to have indentation. I think you can even indent that part. I don't know. Let's try it. Okay, so we just need to run it. How do I run it? Should we do our ENTR program? You remember ENTR? So anytime something gets updated, we want to run it, right? So we say ENTR, and we want to run, it only can run one command, so we're going to run bash-c, which says run bash, and these commands, we're going to clear the screen, and we're going to run /8ball. Every time the list of files that I send changes. In this case, I only need one file, so I'm going to send a here string, which is different than a here variable like we did before. This is the list rather than like finding the list. You could also do find dot, and it would find like all the files in the area in the current directory. If any file at all in the current directory changes, that will work. So so that's the thing. If you know it's just gonna be one file though, you can get away with this and just say 8-ball, and then anytime 8-ball changes, you'll get that. Now I don't know if you notice this, but you see how it stripped off the stuff at the beginning? That's because of the dash. It did kind of I don't know, it seems like, oh, there we go. There, I hadn't saved it. So now it's all happy. See what it did? So this is a thing. Maybe you didn't know that. Maybe you did. All right. So welcome. So that's just a preface. If you wanted to, you could put the, you could put this stuff in its own function. How about that? Let's do that. Let's say intro. How about that? Or welcome. We'll say welcome, right? We'll put all this into welcome instead. And we'll copy that over here. And we'll do welcome. And by the way, when I did that, how did I do it? I'm going to tell you the exact VI that I just did to do that, okay? It's very common to do this. So welcome, right? And so I got to make myself some room here, right? And then down here, now I don't know if you saw this, but I actually made a blank space after that. And the reason for that is because I'm going to use DAP, delete the current paragraph. So, and that, if I do it right here, See, it gets too much too, right? So it's pretty, I mean, I know there's probably a better way, but just putting spaces around a thing that I know I'm going to chop out of there, I can go anywhere on the paragraph and I can type DAP and it grabs that whole thing. I learned that from the Primagian, by the way. I was not a big user of that until I watched the Primagian stream. Despite the drama Primagian I had in the past, I have learned a lot from him, and I hope he's learned some from me. So I'm going to give him full credit for that. So he's a big DAP fan. He's doing it all the time. So there I go. We did DAP and we got that whole paragraph pasted. How did I paste it? By the way, how did I paste it? I did P for paste. Okay. So there we go. We got welcome coming in. Uh-oh, we have an error. Why? Because there's nothing here. If you want to get rid of that error temporarily, you can use that too, DI. That's way harder to type than DAP. But you definitely could do that. There's so many ways in VI that you can do it. Yeah, there you go, colon. So colon is just an empty valid line of bash at the end of the day. It actually is an operator. But if you want to get rid of your errors, you can put that there, right? And then if you wanted to, you could put to do something here. That's very much a bashism to do this. It does execute this code, by the way. So you can put stuff for like assigning default variables and things like that, which I do in my Zet. So if you want, so that's another thing that we've just learned. See these right here? So actually, let's add that to the things learned today. Let's add that to README. So let's say covered. We did so we did DAP again. We did what is that called? The empty operator, I think it is. And delete current paragraph. What else did we do? We talked about, of course, we covered arrays, bash arrays. So these are things you should grep. We're gonna cover bash dictionaries. We haven't done that yet, though. Should I trust this to the bash for 8-ball? Sure. PayPal doesn't care. So. Yeah, I actually think I put that 8-ball in there, in that one. That's like a random one. I mean, this is one of the easiest programs to write, right? All right, so we have a welcome here. So let's say, so for 8-ball, let's actually call welcome. I want you to get in the habit of calling out to other functions. So one of the things that's really great about Bash is that when you write a function and you call it, it looks the same as if you ran it from the command line, because this is the command line. So you get stuff like this, right? Now, what I don't understand is why it didn't do it. Did I not save it? What am I doing wrong? There we go. I didn't save it. That was it. So it wrote it. See, it wrote the welcome, right? And then it just stopped. But we want it to ask something else, right? And then, so we need to print out a prompt, right? Now, I'm doing this deliberately, just kind of as you might think of it, and then we'll add layers of stuff onto this. So you might think, well, let's just print a prompt. Echo, print, right? By the way, what's the difference? The fundamental difference between echo and print when it comes to printing. So let me show you. Let's say you go with echo because it's your go-to for things, right? Right? And you're like, oh, okay. But what does it do? Let's do another one. Oh, it put a line in there. And so do you know what's going to happen when it asks you to read? Okay, I'm going to give you the next line, which is read. So we want to read a line. We'll just say I want to read a line, right? So when we come down here, it's going to be like, oh, it's not on the same line. That doesn't really work, right? Yep. So you have to do some non-POSIX stuff to make this work, but you can do this, and then it will put it right here, right? So that is one way you could do it, or you could use the POSIX compliant way and just use printf, which does the right thing. And there's no line return unless you add a line return. Why are you not? Why are you? Oh, it's because it's prompting. See, I put a line return there, so I'm going to take rid of it now. And yeah, the interactive stuff's not going to work with the NTR because it's going to hang around until we type something, right? And then it's going to end. Okay. So you learned a new command today, just now. So very basic command. It's called read. You're going to come to use this for lots of things, but at the end of the day, what read does is it just reads the line. It reads up to the user typing enter. As soon as they hit enter, and you can change that, but as soon as they hit enter, it takes everything they typed and it puts that into the variable with the name line, right? Or whatever you make as your line number, is your line, right? Now, it just so happens that this version, wait, what happened to other stuff? Is that it? Okay, so yeah. So it just so happens read a user line of input. Okay. Now, when I say a user line of input, what I mean is a standard input line of input. So we're going to come back to that, and that's how we're going to make Unix filters later. But it's important that you know that that's what's up. We're going to close that one. I don't need that one for right now. All right, so we're reading a line, and then you can actually immediately echo the line. You can say echo. We'll just use echo because reasons. Or you can use printf. Doesn't matter. You can say printf. You say you entered, and then we'll do s, and then we'll wrap it so we don't get our expansion. And now we can run 8-ball, but I'm going to do it one time every time because I don't want to do the things, right? So, warning, unknown type. What did I do? Octet string you're using. Is it supposed to be S or I? I can't remember. Oh, whoopsie. It's supposed to be printf. All right, so there we go. And it printed out. See that? All right, I mean, our stuff is kind of boring right now, so we're gonna jazz it up. Don't worry. Is read just kind of a cute little pipe buffer? That's all it is. That's all read is. Read is just a pipe buffer, and if you continue to read from it infinitely, you will see that it will, always give you a new thing. In fact, I'm gonna jump right in, and because the thing is supposed to keep asking you another question, right? So let's actually say, instead of saying you entered, we could say, let's just print the answer. We could say, let's say printf, this is my answer, and then we could say, I don't know. I mean, there's many ways you could do this. I'm just kind of working into it easily. This is my answer, okay? But let's say we want to do that a lot, right? So now I'm going to introduce you to another new thing. It's called while. Now, while does stuff all the time. While is one of the most powerful single command line things to do. While true, right? Do clear the screen, do the date. Sleep for 0.5 seconds, and then repeat. See, you're going to use while all the time on the command line because it's the best way to create an infinite loop, while true in particular. So you can do almost anything with this. You can make your own monitor that will just continue to run your program at different stages. You can do animation using this. There's just so many things you can do with it, but you're going to find yourself doing it from the command line a lot. So I'll introduce you to it on the command line. But when you combine it with something like read, while read line, that means as long as read line is true, it'll do it forever, right? And now we have to indent. Right, so the do is kind of like the opening of the loop, block, and at the end of the block, a block is a segment of code that is separated off from everything else. That's a block. So do done block, and now we can go down here and we can run our 8-ball, and we can keep making answers, and keep making answers. Oh, we should probably add a command line here, huh? I mean, a line return. And we can keep doing it. And say, boom, boom, this is my answer. Oh, where'd my prompt go? Anybody want to know, suggest how to fix that? How do I get it so it prompts every time? How do I get it so it's going to prompt every time? By the way, interactive programs in Bash are almost always a bad idea, but filtering on standard input is the concept. Put welcome in the loop. Yeah, okay, yeah. We could put all of it in the loop if we wanted, right? We can put it all in the loop. Yeah, there's lots of different ways to do this. I encourage you to do it as we're doing it if you have time. Welcome to the Magic 8 Ball. Well, I don't really want the welcome every time, so let's keep the welcome out of the loop. And I just did that because I wanted you to see. And then we have this. Uh-oh, now the prompt isn't in the loop. What the hell? Right? So, oh no, what are we going to do there? I put a prompt in. It should not have had a prompt, right? So I'm going to let you know a little secret. It is, you can do while, but I don't do while ever. I only do whiles first because do while is almost never needed. I'm going to let you know a little secret. If you read the man page for read, which you should, right? Actually, not that one. Oh, you know what? This is a good example. You can. Okay, so there's a couple of fixes for this. So so one of the fixes is we could put this here, right? And then we could put this here. I mean, this is perfectly valid code. This will do what you want, right? I mean, it will do what you want. It's not quite as elegant as it could be, but it will definitely work, right? So, but let me help read, right? So I think it's important though that when you see man read, okay, this is important because I want to put this in the README. So covered difference between man sections. Okay, so if you're a beginner, I'm super glad we hit this. If you're a beginner, you get really confused. So what I want to show you is that the man page system on Unix and Linux has sections. And the entire Linux kernel C library has man page documentation on every Linux system that hasn't been minimized. Think about that for a second. You can't say that about pretty much any other language. You can about Perl, actually. But so what you've got here, because there is no read command, type read. I'm like, oh yeah, read is a shell built in. You know type already. We did it. But when you do man read, you're like, this doesn't look like read at all. It actually is. It's almost exactly the same, but we're not going to go there. This is C code. This is how to do it with the C code. And you're going to get the wrong thing, and you're going to get very confused. So anytime you're looking at a man page and it seems confusing, do the type on it. You'll see it's a shell built-in, and then you can either do man bash and find your way to it, or you can do help read, and that will use help fixates on the bash man page only, and that will jump to that section of the man page which doesn't have pretty highlights and stuff because we use help instead of the man bash. Like if I was to do another way to do this would be man bash, and then I would just search for read /read, and I just keep hitting end until I get to the right one and read all about it. Of course, it takes a lot longer to do it this way, and that's why they have the help command. But you could always do that, and then you see all these extra fun things at the same time. Having the entire code base documented is pretty amazing. Yeah, on the system, all the system calls are all there, everything. So if you're like, doing an strace or something, that takes way too long. The read line notation. So we're going to do this. We're going to do man. Oh, wait. Oh, I want to try something. I've been wanting to try this. So help read gets you the right thing. Okay. Let me stay on topic and I'll try my other thing. What's this channel about? Check the about page really quick. Lots of stuff here, my friend, like all kinds of stuff. So here's all these options. You're like, what the hell? What's this -p? -p prompt? Okay. read a single line of input and split it into fields. Did you see that? So if you want to, you can even get the fields, right? Not a lot of people do that, but you can. By fields, I mean anything separated by white space, one or more spaces or tabs. Assign the words read into an array. What? So there's a lot of really cool things you can do with read. We're not going to use all of its cool things right today, but we are going to use this one, -p. And by the way, this is not supported in POSIX. So this doesn't work on POSIX shell or Z shell and things like that. I think it might because I think it's K shell supported and Z shell is pretty much K shell. But so so what that means is lo and behold, your friend told you that you can do this instead. You can do -p and you can put your prompt in there. And then every time it reads a line, you get your stuff. And that's all you had to do is put that little prompty thingy there. Okay. All right. So now let's on to the main event. I said last week, and we learned about random, right? And we talked about how you can't really have any game of any kind without random. You just can't. It's just, that's a big part of gaming, whether it's a simple thing like this or, you're rocket jumping in TF2 or whatever, or you got to decide whether you get a crit. So, which everybody hates. So if we do this, we put this, we say, well, what's my answer? I say, well, wouldn't it be great if I could have more than one possible answer, right? So this is where, well, what could we do here? If we didn't know about arrays, what could we do? Yeah, I deliberately used an old reference because I knew it would appeal to the largest audience. TF2 invented rocket jumping. Thank you very much. I don't think people were rocket jumping in Quake before TF2, were they? Yeah, they were. They were. There was not rocket jumping in Doom, by the way, because it was a 2D game. Being an old reference. TF1, never played it. No, Boomer. Tell me about TF1. Quake. I think rocket jumping happened with Quake because that was the first actual 3D game. Half-Life. It was a Half-Life mod. Yeah, that's true. Quake was first. Yeah, I think you're right. All right. I stand corrected. Yeah, for sure, Quake. I got it. I put the hours in. Oh my god. Young kids. And I was playing Quake. You can rocket jump in Half-Life too? Nice. Yeah, well. The invention of the rocket jump. A documentary series. Does Twitch keep buffering? I hope Twitch isn't buffering. If Twitch is buffering on you, you might have problems. I'm getting a solid 6,000 kilobits per second right now. So that's what all my indicators are saying. I had to get a Voodoo 2 card. Oh, be still my heart. A Voodoo 2 card. Oh, thank you so much for that really, really ancient reference. I actually went to Newegg when it was a store and bought it and came home and smelled the packaging. I'm like, oh, the smell of railgunning someone out of the sky at 60 frames per second. with like 300 ping. All right, I guess we're taking a break right now, kind of. So, because I feel like that's something that you would talk about on a break. Oh my heck, I don't even remember. That was back when you had to buy a Sound Blaster board too. You remember that, right? Bringing home the Sound Blaster and your surround 5-channel surround sound. We're so old. Okay. That's, yeah. I'm sorry about the ads. I have the ads set to the absolute minimum Twitch will allow. The Champ for Pentium cell on it. Oh, yes. Oh, the good old days. The good old days. Da, 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 da. Now I'm stressed out. Do we have to play some Quake on here? I think it's still possible. I would probably suck at it though because I've learned to lead every shot ever. Anyway, So. Retrace everything. Yeah. Oh wow, that's crazy. So, now I just want to play a game. How bad people. Back to coding. All right, Code Monkey, play games later. So do we use Quake to test the network? Did you see the chaos engineering, the chaos testing with Quake and Doom? You can like randomly take out sections of your Kubernetes cluster using Quake. It's true. It exists. You can like play a Doom game and randomly blow away sections of your entire enterprise and see if it recovers well. It's true. They've actually made it for chaos. It's called chaos testing, chaos engineering. It's pretty crazy stuff. Yeah. Oh my heck. All right, back to Bash. Duke Nukem. I only watched that because there were rumored to be boobies in it. There were not enough boobies. All right, we have to be suitable for work here. Suitable for work. No Duke Nukem. And misogynistic. No Duke Nukem. We can't talk about him. It's okay. It's okay because it's about having fun. So back to the Magic 8 Ball. Pretend like we're on like a mainframe and we don't have 3D graphics. All we have is the terminal, and we have to entertain ourselves with terminal stuff. So what are we going to do? Well, we have to repeat this line. Now, here's the question. Let's say we just wanted to have yes or no answers, right? So you could do this. You could, I mean, no matter what, let's say you thought about this. Okay, so I'm putting my thinking cap on. Oh, MUDs. Don't even get me started on MUDs. They're one of the funnest things to make in Python because you just use the comment field, and for the modules in Python, you can make every Python module into a room. It's so crazy. Oh my gosh. I'm not looking at the chat anymore. I'm not. All right. So here we go. We have 8 Ball, which is decidedly less fun than all of that. And we're going to go for it anyway. Okay, so, all right, so we have to print. We're pretending like we don't know the answer here, okay? We're pretending like we don't know the answer here. We're like, let's see. If I wanted to just make it answer yes or no, what could I do right now? Now, strictly speaking, we've already covered everything in these boosts to know the answer to this. I want you to think about this. We are doing this together. If I was mentoring you, I'd have you burn your brain cells out for 5-10 minutes. And I'd say, take 5 minutes, think about this. If you wanted this, you already know almost everything for this. Okay, do it. How would you do that? How would you do random mod 2 and do this with an if statement? You know what? I'm in the spirit of SKILSTAK. And Toby's here. So in the spirit of SKILSTAK, and I got my shirt on. Where's my hat? I need my SKILSTAK hat. In the spirit of SKILSTAK, I'm going to make you suffer. You know everything to do this. You've been taught everything to do this. You have done it. And somebody's already told you how to do this. All right? And I'll go over the technique for you, but I want you to do it using what you know before we cover arrays and lists. If you know arrays and lists, go for it. You don't know it yet, technically, so try it without that. And the reason I want you to do it is I want you to feel the pain so that when we do it with an array, you'll be like, oh my gosh, that's so much easier. Yeah, you can't put the answers in an array. Julian's got the right answer long term, and if you want to go for it right away, go for that. If you know how to do that, they haven't learned though. But how? Just for the sake of conversation, let's say you don't know what an array is. You know about randomization because we covered that last week. You have to go look it up. Go look it up. You know about randomization, right? So, and I'm gonna give you a hint. Help random. Oh, whoops. K random. Uh-oh. You might have to go look that one up. All right. So let's say you only want yes or no. You only want yes or no. How about this? Yes, no, or maybe. The reason we're doing this is I want you to remember your if statements. Okay. All right. So here's the to-do. I'm going to give you a to-do. I'm going to give you a to-do right here, and I'm going to walk away for a bit. to do. Using if statement and random, I'll give you that. Create random yes, no, or maybe answer. No arrays yet. That's the requirement. All right. If you have to look it up, that's fine. I'm going to put the timer on, and I'm going to term you down here. We're going to term down like 5 minutes, and then we'll give you the answer. But give it a good try. You should know if statements already, right? Mr. Extremely, how are you? You should know random already because we covered it. You should know the remainder operator, otherwise known as modulo. I'm not going to tell you those things because this is a review. You're supposed to go look those things up if you don't know them. And there's no harm in doing that. Oops. Why is Termdown not happy? Termdown got very mad at me. All right, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. We have not used case statements yet. If you want to try a case statement, you can, but we've just used, I'm deliberately keeping it to 3 conditions and if statements, because if statements. An if statement supports 3 conditions, right? Not just 2. Right? Because I want you to use, it's a little trickier. It's a little trickier. We also did mathematical comparisons. Remember that? Using math logic comparisons. I want you to do it the hard way first. All right. So 4 minutes. I'll turn the music on. You can turn the music off if you don't want it. That's good. Now try maybe in there. Try maybe. How would you do that? A little bit harder, huh? right, 40 seconds. If you can't get it, it's fine. You just can work on it on your own and try to do it again. Identical question gets identical results. Ooh, tricky. Yeah, with some rigor expression matching. That's not the requirement, but that would be fun. I'm drinking my stepson's horrible hard cider. Mostly because it's cold. All right. Oh, look at that. There's something fancy. There's something fancy. Don't you wish Twitch had code highlighting? Wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't it be awesome if Twitch had code highlighting? I wish it did. It doesn't. So Hilhu's got a pretty damn close to what I would have done. And he's using echoes. He's using or they are using. I'm sorry to use a pronoun. I don't know your gender. So if we have you could do. I want everybody to look at Hilhu's example because this kind of encapsulates everything that we have done so far in a very compact way. And then you have to make a decision. Now, we talked about we talked at great length last week about when to obfuscate code and write it quickly by using contextual stuff like short circuit operators and special variables and thing, which is what made Perl famous, or to make it really easy to read and very verbose for like better sustainability by pretty much anybody coming to the code base who knows how to code at all. And I'm not going to judge which one you want to do here, but you should at least understand what this does. Okay, this is a single line command. What are the semicolons are? They're the semicolons. So let's actually uncompact. Is that a thing? Decompact Hilhu's code here, and let's actually make it longhand because it's correct. Let's just make it longhand. Okay, so we can leave this here. Why can't we leave that bar, by the way? And this is kind of, there's actually an implicit thing happening here that we talked about last week. Does anybody remember set-e? Everybody remember that? Now that's not going to completely work because it will stop the code from running at all, but it's getting pretty damn close, right? So while we read the line, so we have I equals, so what can we do else? What else can we do here? Local. Now I'll tell you right now, shell check is going to yell at us for that. So I'm just going to jump ahead. Shell check's going to yell at us for doing local I. Why? Well, we're gonna see. So so it's gonna yell at us for local I. Why? Because it wants it to be defined all by itself. So we're gonna do local I, and then we can do this. We can say I equals random 3. And I think you can actually do this even. I think you can even do that, but let's keep it like this. I like that way too. This is all stuff we covered already, people. How's it going, Anna? Anna's there. So this random says, give me a random number between 0 and 3, not with the 3 of the limit. So, and then it says, so this says if 0, then echo yes. If 1, then echo no. If 2, then echo maybe. Now, all of these things are going to execute, but some of them are going to print and some of them are going to not. The downside of this code will totally work, but the downside of this, however, is that, we'll just put a blank line here, is that these other lines are going to execute no matter what, right? And it's totally valid code. But if we added if statements like I think Hill said, if we did put the if statements here, we can say if this And this is where we get kind of long and drawn out. Or we could have done case. This is actually really good, a case example. And let's actually do it in if statement. We have not done the case statement yet, so let's do the longhand with if, and then we'll do case. Okay. If somebody wants to try their hand at the case statement right away, you can go for it if you haven't learned it yet. So then we'd say if, right? And there may be some Python programmers out there that are like, you know, and then we have else, right? And I don't think we even need a then on that. And then we have 5 to end that. So actually, this is interesting. Should we do an else if here, or should we do, For the sake of the case statement, let's do this. For the sake of the case statement, let's do an elif. By the way, if you're a Python programmer, this is all you get. This is all you get. All right. And then else, you could say echo randomization error. Right. And then the echo is just for the blank line. What's that? It gets rid of else. Yes, it does. It really does. You could do a continue. You could do a while. There's at least 3 ways to do this. That's right, Masa, you're telling me it has case now, right? So I want you to see this. I'm going to comment this out. This code, let's just check that this code works. Yeah. Well, if it hits any one of these, it'll just go. Yeah, if you wanted to do the short circuit way, let's do it all 3 ways. Let's do it all 3 ways, Hilo. I'll put your stuff back for you. All right, let's put your stuff back. Let's do that. But the reason I want you to see all this is because I want everyone to realize that you can, any one of these ways is fine, right? This is a very kind of cool way. Might be a little bit more magical to certain people looking at it. But the logic is sound. Since there's no like compile optimizations going on here or anything, it's really not a performance hit at all. And if they get this far, you could just say, oh, I'm sorry, you have a randomization error, right? So let's comment out all of this. And I'm just going to comment that out temporarily. And let's try this stuff. And we'll go ahead and run this. See if that works. 8-ball. Your answer we got it. Will we finish on time? Maybe. Oh. Really? Maybe. Do you say anything? Do you say anything other than maybe? I swear you would not believe some of the interactions. These girls once asked if Mr. Wild was pregnant, and it said yes, and they just lost it. They thought it was so funny. I mean, you would not believe some of the random conversations we've had with the 8-ball before. It's been anthropomorphizing anything automatically gets really fun. I mean, it was getting spooky. We were thinking it was like listening to us at one point. So there you go. That code works because of short circuit logic. Yeah, that's how Google thought he was talking to her. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Humans have a really amazing capacity for anthropomorphizing anything. So anyway, so let's see if the long-winded way works. Let's see if this way works now. Let's try that. What a dumber got himself fired. Do you love me? No. Well, that's rude. Well, that's rude. No, it's not. It really is. See what I'm saying? I mean, you can play with it long enough that it does kind of make sense. Oh my gosh. I know. It's like, so that works. It's not as good as the other one, but I mean, because let's take the printf off. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, that's because it's doing the other thing. Yeah. Case 1 and 0, echo yes. Yes, and here comes the case statement. Thank you for that. They don't know case yet, my friends, so we're going to be doing case now. But thank you for prompting us. Okay, so I wanted to show you the different ways of doing it. Again? Yes, okay. So we're going to comment this one out. And then we're going to use something you haven't seen before. We're going to use the long-winded case statement. Now, the case statement is meant to take a single value, at least in Bash. It's really powerful in Go, I'm just going to say. And I want to show them on the same line. Here we go. All right, so case. So you say case, and then you give it the variable. And I think you should probably still quote this one. And then you say in, right? And then it's ESAC. No kidding. Does anybody know? Here's a fun fact. Fun fact. Where did the reversing the word and using the come from? What language influenced every other language to do that? I finally found this out about 5 or 6 years ago. So what language inspired all of these other languages to use these crazy backward words for the ends of the statement? And I'm going to tell you what the Oxford professor, the demonstration in this said. So what does if statement in Algol look like? So there's an ancient language called Algol that apparently is the parent of this. And I know nothing more beyond that, so I don't want to waste time on it. But that's YouTube. Another YouTube. Python basics with if statements. That's not Algol. All right, fine. Well, you can. It may be Ada even, but you can go look. You can check me on that. Precursor to C. Yeah, Algol is a precursor to C. Yep. So case. People sometimes call these switch statements. But there is no switch keyword in Bash, but every other language will use a switch statement there. And then you use a case, and then what you do is whatever the first number is, whatever the first option is, you put that in a parenthesis. And by the way, if you're doing, this is the only thing I'm going to say about this, but if you're doing any kind of regular expression matching in POSIX shell, this is the only way for you to do regex partial globbing matches of stuff that's in a variable. In Bash, of course, you can use the equals tilde operator in the conditional, which we did last week. But case is super important for that kind of thing. And case is perfectly designed for this specific case, right? And yeah, I just said that. So we could say yes and put the 8 ball. And you can do no or whatever. You can do yes, no, maybe. Replace that replace this with a 0. Replace this with a 1. Replace this with a 2. Yes, no, maybe. That's assuming they're all equal. And a fun fact about the 8 ball, about 60% of the answers are nebulous. And the remaining 40% are positive yes or no answers. We actually did way more research than I would care to ever do again. If you don't know, though, you can put this. You can put printf, what? How about that? And I think we need don't we need the double? Yeah. You need the double semicolon to end the statements. And that should be the same. Shall we play a game? No. All right, fine. Really? Not even global thermonuclear war? I guess it doesn't want to play a game with me. Oh, well. Control C. All right. So it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of like your default C and switch. Yeah, same thing. So clearly this is the simplest one. All right. And now hashtag war games. So let's go ahead and make this more interesting though, because obviously we want to have more than this. We could add as many as we wanted to, right? But let's do something slightly more efficient. As somebody said, O to the 1, right? A level 1 complexity, which is complexity science, which is not something we're going to cover today. It's a CS topic. Oopsie, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. Here we go. CMT. All right. And all right. So this, we're going to leave all of this in the sample, by the way. And we're going to go ahead and even get rid of this. Okay. So we did that to do. So that to do is done. I'll pull that to do out here. So you can read it. I'll leave that all that code in there. But let's do it replaces everything below. Yes, it does. This does have to be at the end. That's super important. Thank you for mentioning that. So let's pretend like we could put all of our possible answers in a list or even a file. Yeah, we're going to do both of those now. Okay. So let's say we want all those answers in a file. And I don't want to do the file right away though. The file is like too powerful. We're going to learn to do it with just in a list first. Okay. So outside of the scope of this entire thing, we're just going to say, I want to make a list. So I'll say answers, right? Answers equals, right? You're like, okay. And I'm using parentheses, right? And that's it. That's all you have to do. Don't forget that you can't have spaces here, right? If you want to get really fancy, you can do declare dash lowercase a, which stands for array. It's the same thing. You don't need it, but it makes it more explicit. If you don't know what that means, you can go help declare, and you can go read about what declare does. And we're going to use a couple of things here, but dash a to make names indexed arrays if supported, to make names associative arrays, which we're going to do later. It's also a way to make integers, which is something we've talked about already last week. So we're going to, whoopsie. All right. So we're going to make a bunch of answers, and here's where things you can get really lazy. Let's say we want to do the actual magic 8-ball, magic 8-ball answers. For those of you who don't know, there's actually a pretty funny video on this. If you want to go watch it, it's a student-made video. And so here's the answers. We can get those all here. Affirmative, non-committal answers. There they are. I'm going to go get them all. I'm going to go steal them in my text-based browser. I'm going to go grab them all. All signs point to yes. And let's put those in here and clean them up a little bit. Right, we'll clean them up, put that there. Don't count on it. Let's put them in strings. Actually, these are probably okay to be single quoted strings. All right, and you notice how I'm not putting commas in there, and that is on purpose. So Bash is kind of weird. It just uses it doesn't use commas like Python or other languages would use, JavaScript or something. So better not tell you now. my sources. And, you know, we could hard code the number of these, but there's a way to know how many of them there are. Does anybody know what that is? Anybody remember that? What is the special variable to tell you how many there are of something in a list, in an array, in Bash? There's a way to do that. All right, so we have this one. Yep, $hashtag, which tells you how many total arguments there are. But if you add that to an array, so first of all, let's just figure out how to access a certain item from the array. So how to index the array, you know. And as with most things in coding, the arrays start with 0. We actually had somebody miss that on a test, AP Computer Science, because AP Computer Science taught them to answer that 1 was the proper beginning number. I'm not even kidding. They missed that. And they missed that. I made a screaming fuss about it. I was so pissed. Because it was the AP Computer Science class and they taught them that indexes start with 1. I was like, and then everybody was like, well, maybe in Lua or, you know, whatever other, I think COBOL is one. Off by 1 error is a real. They were teaching JavaScript in AP Computer Science and they marked everybody wrong who said that indexes start at 0. So they all went away thinking that indexes in Java started at 1. And I blew that from the housetops. I was like, not only that, it's offensive, right? People write C books with chapter 0 because it's a cultural truth in our world that things start at 0, right? And I was like, how clueless can this AP Computer Science teacher be? I still, the rant is still out there, so you can go read it if you want. I was so livid. I was so mad. And I said, okay, fine, don't get mad, get busy. We got to go teach people how to do this. All right, so how many of these do we have, right? Well, if we wanted to, and sometimes I do this, we can just run the program and exit just to test the other part of the program. It's a technique that I do a lot when I don't want to do everything. I know, I couldn't get it. Ezekiel, I was totally, that's what blew me away. That's what blew me away. And the teacher, apparently the student went to the teacher and the teacher said, well, not for what we've learned in this series. And I'm like, well, what were you learning to code in then? Because, well, I don't know. It's something else. It was Java though. They were just in Java. I know. I couldn't believe it. Look, I don't like thinking about it. It just makes me so angry. Let's code. Let's learn how to do it right. For the rest of you out there, arrays. Oh, I know. Me too. Me too. It really is, because that's how it is in most other languages. Yeah. So we're going to cover exit. We covered exit. We covered case instead of if. All right. So what do we have here? So I'm going to go ahead and exit out, because here's the thing about shell that's kind of nice, right? Or POSIX, bash, whatever, is that it's very linear in how it executes. It doesn't compile the whole thing and see if it works, you know. It actually just goes one line at a time. So as soon as it hits the exit, it doesn't care about anything after that at all. So I can do stuff like this. I can say echo, right? And I'm going to put answers, right? And I'm going to put an @ sign. And we're going to talk about what those mean. We're going to go ahead and put this in quotes just because it's the right thing to do. And it's going to use up a lot more space here. But if I do this, you'll see it puts them all in, right? Now, because I used echo, it didn't put one per line. But watch this. Printf. Remember the secret with printf? What's the secret with printf, my friends? What's the secret with printf? You can use this for all kinds of cool things. Printf executes this once for each item in the argument list, which is different than every other use of printf in every other language. And it's really useful from the command line because you can do things like this, right? So I can use that as a loop, an implicit loop. There's not a lot of people that know about that. I didn't learn it until my 30s, that you can use printf as an implicit loop for every single thing that's passed to it. So this is actually really great For expanding things, it's kind of a for each, yeah. And you can, but depending on what you put here, you can combine this with some parameter expansion over here, and you can basically use it as a filter on each element of an array list. And it's super nice. So like if I wanted to transform this whole entire thing, I mean, I can put, stuff here. There's all kinds of things you can do, right? And all right, so let's talk about the at versus this, all right? I'm going to try to demonstrate it. I think it'll be easier for you to demonstrate it. If you do it like this and you run it, what do we get? All right, what just happened? Why didn't it print one per line? You're like, Mr. Rob, there's like a \n here. It should have, and you just told me print does once for every element. That's because the star smushes them all together. The star means take all of these elements in this list and join them all together as a single string. That's super, super important because, and if you use the @ sign, it says treat each individual thing, treat each individual element in the list as a separate double quoted string. And so then we get this again. Well, we should anyway, if I wasn't dummy. All right. That's super important that you understand that. All right. What are some circumstances where you would want everything on the command line to be put into a single question? So by default, when you have arguments for that, I do this all the time. You see me do this all the time. So when I search Twitch RWX Rob, when I pass that to the search engine, what does it do? It puts Twitch RWX Rob into the search query. Why doesn't it put, it's the equivalent of this, which is giving me exactly the same thing, right? If I were to do it the other way, it would be the exact equivalent to this, which in my case is okay because it still joins them. But let me show you the duck program. So the duck program takes $*, which is the same thing we just saw with answers star, except for it operates on the implicit arguments list. That means any arguments passed on the command line or to the function, and it combines them. You have to think about this one a while, but the best way to get your head around this is just try it. Just try it. Pass different arguments, some with this, and then experiment with putting quotes around things to see what happens. But when you do this, it doesn't even matter if you white space delimit them and make them separate fields, because it'll still cram them all together and put them in a single string. All right, so that is the fundamental difference with that. And that's why this behaves differently. When we use the @ sign, it doesn't do this. So printf expands into double quote, better tell you now, double quote, my sources say no, double quote, yes, definitely, double quote, you can imagine all of that stuff being expanded on this line like until it's done, right? So that's actually what gets called. You got to be careful too, because if you have a list that's too big, you can use this kind of method. You can overrun very quietly. It will not tell you have an error. You can very quietly overrun the max length of a command line and chop off data. And this happens. This is a source of really critical enterprise apps. It's also why you should never write anything serious in shell. No, that kind of stuff should be written in Go or whatever. So, just keep note of that stuff in your mind there. You can also do transformations on the entire list. So we talked about parameter expansion a little bit last week. I don't want to get too crazy with parameter expansion. I want you to go explore it yourself because there's just way too much to show you. But let's say I want to make the whole thing all uppercase. I want to make every list item uppercase. I can transform the entire list with one parameter expansion against the whole list. And that does it for every element in the list. If I wanted to do a find and replace, I could do that as well. We already covered parameter expansion. The only thing I'm telling you is that parameter expansion applies to lists as well. So if I were to do it like this, So I could say, let's say every letter, let's substitute every it for all caps it. How about that? Now we get definitely Outlook not so good, may rely on it. And this is interesting because you could do join your strings for a duck.go search because it becomes a query. It goes into the query string as a single string. That's all it is. It's a query string parameter. That's why. Yeah. It's if you know query strings. So that only takes a single string. So the only reason I do that is because I don't want to type quotes while I'm searching really quickly on the command line. So unless I have quotes in my search terms, I just type them all out. It saves me time. So that's what's up with that. How would you put space so you didn't get it within words? No spaces inside of the words? I just shoot a space. Oh, how would I get it so it would only replace it if it were by itself? Well, I mean, there's lots of ways. These are basic. I think they're either basic or expanded regular expressions, so they are not as powerful. But in that case, you can't do word boundary like you could with Perl. At least I don't think. Should we try it? I don't think you can. That's a word boundary. That's a Perl PCRE thing. Yeah, it doesn't know it. Best you could do would be like probably something like, I'm guessing, I don't know how much it's going to support, not space. I mean, you'd either have to, you could do all the space ones and then do the other ones. I mean, you have to work on it. Get some good. So space it, oops. Space it will transform. Ooh, that did the whole thing. I wonder what space would do. This is the POSIX range for the same thing. But you don't have filled replacements, so in parameter expansions, they're not as powerful as full-blown regex. So yeah, that did not like that at all. I wonder if it's. I think they're just basic regex. I don't think they're expanded regex. So yeah, you'd have to get fancy with it. For that, I mean, stuff like that. Beyond that, use Perl or set or something that has true regex. Which I mean, you could also do. Just think of another way you could do it. There's lots of ways. So I don't want to get too bogged down. Because there's no word boundary, meta field in Perl. So, yeah, I don't know. You would have to be, the best you could do would be space it and then just do space it. And then you'd have to what ones didn't get replaced, and you have to go in and see. If it occurred at the beginning of a string, then you'd have to, do another one. Yeah, go with the parameter expansion. All right, so just it's a thing that you can do. But let's go on to the next thing. So that's all well and good, right? But now how do we pick a random one, right? So you can actually pick a random one from the same line. This is where stuff gets really powerful with Bash. Anybody want to guess how to do that? How do I change this and? What if I put, I'll give you a hint. If I put a 3 there, what am I going to get? I get the third one every time, right? What if I want to get one of the random first 3? I'm kind of cheating here. I'm going to jump in and say, so random, we want to get a random number between 0 and 3. Yeah, you got it. So good job. So it would be a certain reply hazy. You're like, but Mr. Rob, I don't know how many there are. Well, okay, so let's do that. Let's print out how many there are first. Printf s. Say there are s or I possible answers. All right, so then we'll do answers Number. I think it's number answers actually, if I remember right. Yeah. There we go. So that'll tell you the exact number. And there are 13 possible answers. Don't count on it. You got it. Yep. He's got it. I don't even think you need the and sign on it. Hello. Yep. You think it's the same way? I don't. Let's try it. If that's cool. I really hope that's true. I really hope that's true. Don't count on it. Apply hazy. Don't count on it. Apply hazy. Wow, look at that. You didn't even need it. It implied it. Man, to me, that is awesome. That is awesome. Okay, so it's implied in that one. So we can actually do this. Yeah, if we can even simplify that even more, and we say that, and then we can say, now this one I do think we need because we have to do the number, right? Answers. I actually think you might be able to get away with that. I think we might be able to, but I don't think that's good form. I don't know if we want, no, bad. We finally broke it. So I'm pretty sure this will work though. And then, oh, you may rely on it. My sources say no. All right, get rid of this. All right, so let's actually just keep running this thing for a while. While true, do. How? By the way, we already covered this. I want to see if anybody knows. What's a shortcut instead of doing while true, do clear, do magic 8 ball, sleep, point 1 done. What's a faster way to do this without the while true loop? Watch. Okay, good. So you can do it with code like this, right? Or you can do it like this. You can say watch ./8 ball. By default, it's -2. It's 2 seconds. If you want to change the seconds, you just do -n 0.1 seconds, and then it'll just keep there and do it. It'll do it for you. Sit there and show you all the different ones. And you can kind of judge it and decide which ones are the right ones. Pretty cool, huh? I love computers. I mean, it's such a simple thing, but it's pretty amazing. I mean, and that's really where computers get interesting, is when they can help you out with this kind of thing. So, I mean, you can just kind of do a random test. If you want to get really intense, you could fuzz the whole thing and see. But as you can see, we don't have a lot of extra code to add now, right? While read p equals line, we got all this craziness down here, right? Or we can just do this. Printf random answer, right? And get rid of our exit. So we did our testing, and now we can watch that. Oops. 8 ball. Are we done yet? It is certain. No, it is not. Cannot project now. Good. Without a doubt. It's printing an extra line return that I do not like. I'm going to get rid of that. I don't know why it's doing that. Is that because I did? Oh, the echo there. Yeah, get rid of that echo. Live reload job. It's just a watch command. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's one many ways to do it. If you're going to do JavaScript live reloads, you need to really look at, we're going to do this when we do web stuff, which is after Go, actually. But when we do that, we're going to do, I use Dig. We use the NTR a lot. Yeah, now I do. So, anyway, yeah, that's it. We didn't need any of that other code. We needed this one line and a bunch of random answers. So now it's not safe for cryptography and mathematical encryption and that kind of thing. Just know that most randomization libraries are not safe for true, randomization that needs really intense entropy and all of that. So Just know that if you're going to do cryptographic stuff, you need to look for a special encryption library of some kind that develops truly random cryptographic entropy. Otherwise, if it's just for games and stuff like that, you're good. I just have to say that because somebody out there is going to go make another Bitcoin that uses the built-in urandom, and I'm going to be... It's actually called pseudorandom. Thanks, George. Yeah, it's not even really random. It's called pseudorandom, but it's pretty damn close. And all of it, by the way, comes from /dev urandom. You can go grab random ones and zeros off of the urandom device anytime you want. It's a character special device. And you can grab any number of bytes. You can, off the end of dev urandom, you do whatever you want with them. And if you do the same activity in C, which I don't know if we'll get to it, but if you do the same activity in C, you have to do that. If you want to do it truthfully, just using C and not some extra special library, you need to go get randomization directly off urandom and then turn that into an int and then turn that into an index on an array, et cetera, et cetera. That stuff's all taken care of for you in Bash and other languages. Has the best random function? I don't know. Go's got pretty damn good random libraries. In fact, Go in general has really stalwart built-in standard libraries and a fully secure and compliant GPG OpenPGP library, for example, which does not exist in any other language except for C. And I mean, it's just, that's one of the reasons so many people go to it, because the really important stuff like that exists. It's also why, Ethereum was written in Go, stuff like that. So, what else we got? So let's see, we did case, we did random again. We did the modulo thing. We looked at the, whole answers like this thing. What else did we do? I mean, I'd put them all here so you can just test yourself. We had answers. We did what that means. We did like this. We did answers random. And then we looked for the number of answers. And that gives us a random number between the number of answers. It's pretty easy stuff, huh? And so that's lists in a nutshell. I think that pretty much covers lists. So if it's not obvious after we've gone through this, I'll just restate. So lists give us the ability to add lists, data as a list. There is one more extremely undervalued options +1. You could probably try that as well if you're not getting them all. Did you have to add one to it because it was going to 0 to 1? Well, you shouldn't have to do that, because the length of the options is supposed to be the index starts at 0 and the length is supposed to be the upper limit. So you shouldn't need to do that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you shouldn't need to do that. You should be able to use the simpler form, because the list starts at 0 and the dollar length is always the total number, which is always maximum index +1. So I think it has the +1 implicit in it. So yeah, there's tons of manipulation in there. All right. So one last thing that I want to show you that is hands down the most underutilized, advantageous way to read in lists and arrays in Bash, and it's called map array or map file. It has two names actually, and I always mix them up. So let's say you wanted this thing in a file. All right. So I'm going to copy this out, and I'll leave it in here just cause. But I'm also going to copy it out. Just comment it out, right? And I'm leaving all the old stuff in here so you can come back to it and fix it up later, right? But let's say we want to put that into answers. We want to support it separately for whatever reason. You can do answers.txt, which is fine. You know, I'm not a fan of suffixes, but whatever. Whoa, wasn't expecting that. There we go. So we get this off there. We get this off there. And I'm going to comment that off of there. I should probably do a transformation. No, I need to do... people are going to laugh at me because it takes me long for this. Optional... no, that's space. Oh, we want it at the beginning of a line. Spaces are optional. And then this. And we want to replace that with nothing. All right, there we go. Got it. Whew. All right, let me see. I'm going to do another one. My other ed command. So we're going to replace in the whole file. This is an ed command. We're going to replace that is at the end of the file at line. Sorry, and we'll recursively do that and delete all of those. All right. I actually kind of want mine to have periods on them, so let's do that. So, I mean, this is a reason to put it in its own file, right? Because you couldn't do these transformations on the whole thing. You'd have to get more precise with your, you know, substitution commands if it were inside of the thing. So that might be a reason to break it out. So I'm going to replace all of the ends of the lines with a dot. Actually, I don't even think I need it that way. I think I just put a dot there. And that should put a dot on the end of everything. Oh, it puts an empty space, though. Actually, I'll undo that one then. And I'm going to go in my up history. And I'm going to replace... Wait, what? Why you no work? Dot. I put an extra space, though. I don't want the extra space. I want the extra space. I mean, unless I did something wrong. I don't know. We'll see. Oh, it's not there anymore. Okay. All right. So we're good. And so, okay. So now we have some more that we want to add some more. Yeah. Oh yeah. You can put all kinds of things in there. It's like, are you crazy? You know, have fun with it, right? So, all right, Mr. Rob, how do I get that in my program now? Well, if it's in the same directory, and I'm going to show you how to deal with that as well. So we're just going to load it in at startup. So we're going to say map. Let's see. Is it? I always mess them up, so I'm going to not lead you astray. It's help map array, I think. No. What is it? Load array? Add array? I mix them up all the time. I use it in everything, and I can never remember it. I always have to look it up. Map file. Yes, it's map file or something array. Add array or something. And I mix them up every time. Map file. So there's two of them. Somebody decided to rename it and confuse the crap out of me. So it's map file, but it has another name. It does. It goes by another name too. Read array. That's it. Read array or map file. Whichever one. So if you like thinking of it in terms of a file, then you can think of it in terms of a file. It maps a file using map, like in, you know, map file reduce, map find reduce, filter reduce. And read array says, I want to read all of these lines into an array, right? They're the same, so it doesn't matter. But since we're talking about arrays, let's do read array. We're going to do read array. And usually I think you're supposed to put -p with it or something to get a special line return or something. And then you have to give it the name. So answers. And then you give it a standard input. If I remember right. Let me go look at my man page. Actually help read array. Delim synonym for map file. Delim, we don't need the delim. Delim's line return by default. You put the name here. And then you have to give it, you can give it -u file descriptor, or you can just do it. You know, you just do, I want to read from the file. So you read from, what was it, answers.txt. right? And if we did this right, our thing should work just the same way as before. List comprehensions, no, it does not have list comprehensions. You can do the same thing, but they're not nearly the same. So don't count on it. Decided to so reply hazy. Better not tell you no. My sources say no. Cannot predict is certain. Yes, definitely. Very doubtful. I want to see if it has my new one in there. Cannot predict. Where's my fancy answer? I feel like it didn't get the whole thing. I feel like it didn't get it all. What do you think? I think it's because I didn't put a line return after my last one. Well, there's one way to know. Let's go ahead and just dump it all and exit. So we're going to use our trick that we used already with printf. And we're going to print out every answer as a separate argument and just test it. Oh, it had it. It put Are You Crazy in there, so it's just not picking it very much. I wonder if I have to do mod +1. I think we might have to do that. Somebody was talking about that earlier, but I think we might be off by 1 actually. Yeah, we are. No, we're not. No, we're not. No, we're not. Because it would be, if you wanted 3 answers, you would put a 3 here, right? And the pound answers should be 14. If pound answers is 14, I think we're good. I want to check though. I want to teach you wrong. $15. All right. Well, I'm interested now. All right. So I now feel the need to make yeah, because we put 14 + 1, right? That means the top one is 14, which is okay. So I'm going to do something just for my own sanity. Watch dash and 0.2 bash dash c echo random mod 3. So no, it's only doing it once. That's not doing it every time. That's not going to work. Because I did this. Damn it. Oh damn. I can't kill it. I'm gonna have to kill the terminal. And then the PC crashed. I forgot about this. I've done this so many times. Because it's a subshell every time. Infinite loop. I love infinite loops. Yes. That you can't stop. You know why? Because I did this. I did it as a subshell so it wouldn't kill it. Yeah, that was dumb. But this should be easier and more efficient. It was because I put it in those quotes. I put it in the quote, so it put it in a subshell. So every time I was trying to cancel it, the outer loop wasn't getting the stop. So that's what was happening. Oh, and then of course I just did it again. If you ever want to recover from this, you can eventually, either that or you can kill your terminal. Yeah, it's because of the quotes. Yeah, that's interesting. That's pretty damn fast. Because it didn't do the sleep, because it executed it separately. There we go. Call Steve. 012. Kill the VM. Reboot. No. Anybody ever? Yeah, it's really fun when you can like make your. Here, well, we're gonna, now that we're doing loops. What time is it? We have time. Now that we're doing loops, there's all kinds of things you can do with loops, like sunrise. This is something you could do with a loop. Hopefully, epileptic shock warning. I'm so sorry. Somebody's like spazzing out right now. I'm so sorry. That's when it. Yeah. There's just so many things you can do. And it's the beginning of a wonderful life because you can like create animations with it. Other than just games, you can do all kinds of stuff. So now that we're reading our answers, I do have a question though. Okay. Watch this. I'm going to break this program on purpose, and then this will be the end of this module. Whatever we want to call it. I got to change my time. My time zone, it's a new build, so I didn't change my time zone yet. And I don't know what time it is. I can check the weather though. What's the weather? Oh, it's 87 degrees. All right, well, someone tell me when the time gets close at hand, because I can't see the time right now. I have 4 screens. I still can't see the time. And a watch. It's 4:09. Okay, we got a couple hours. All right, so let's do this one. So we know read array or map file, whichever one you want. Same thing. And I have a question though. What if I want to run that program from some other place? What will happen? While you're answering that question, I'm going to fill this out. What if I want to run that program from some other place? Symlink is a good attempt. Good attempt there. So let's try this. So we know about this, right? Okay, that worked, right? Probably, I'm going to give you some extra homework. For example, put an if statement in there so you can type exit and it just quits without a control C. But what if I'm up here and I want to run it? We're not going to do a symlink yet. No. So when I'm up here, I can't even see my 8-ball program. How do I run it? You know this, so it should be easy. How do I run it? How do you run it? Well, what was // before? / was just telling me to run this program in this file. Need a full path to script, right? So we got to do 12/ and then 8-ball. I just hit tab because it's there. And now it'll run. Uh-oh, spaghetti-o. So what happened? And this is what I wanted to show you. There's actually a really cool way to deal with this. So why can't it see it? It's trying to look for the answers.txt file that lives right next to the program. And so when I run it right here, it's like it's trying to look for answers.txt right here. And as you can see, there's no answers.txt there, right? So that's a bug. I mean, that's a serious bug. I've seen this bug in more production code than I care to talk about. People do this all the time. They write scripts that have dependencies on data files being in exactly the same location as the script, and then they don't make any concessions for running the script from anywhere else but inside of that directory, forcing you to cd, if you're in a script calling into their popd or whatever, and then run it and then pop out of there. That is bad coding, and it's unnecessary. And I want to show you how you can fix this. And you actually know all the methods how to fix this already. Okay. So see if you can remember them. So first of all, we don't want to import answers.txt. We want the full path to that. Well, how can we get to do, I'm put to do, get the full path to the current working directory, no matter where we are on the system. All right, dir name is something. Yep. Some of you may have seen dir name. I'm going to show you the way to do that without shelling out using nothing but bash. Anybody guess? You can use ls, you can use dir name, you can use base name, you can do all those things, but there's actually a more efficient way. So the standard answer, you can do pwd-p, yep. Actually, pwd won't work. I don't think pwd-p will work. I mean, I'm curious though. That would be a new one for me. I want to see that one. Thank you for the follow. So let's try this one. So let's try, I want to try your pwd-p. I have never tried that. I want to try it. So there's probably like 5 ways to do it, right? So this one gives you, oh, what does it give you? Well, we died first. Wasn't able, oh, it does give it to you. There we go. Boost. No, that's not going to work. That's your current working directory. We don't want that. We want the directory of the running script, not the directory we're in. All right. So, and this introduces us to one of the shell variables that you already know, but we're going to repeat. $0. Okay. $0 is your best friend here. $0 is what? Echo $0. Yeah. So $0 is your best friend. But what is it? Let's go back. All right. So here I am in the outer directory again. Probably not with this one. Let's do it with this one. All right. I'm in the outer directory again. I'm going to try it again. Ooh, look at that. 12 8-ball. All right. So $0 is always the file that's running. But more importantly, it's exactly what was typed in by the user. That's important. Notice how it doesn't have the full path. I mean, some people do mistakenly think that that's the full path, right? And if you wanted to get the full path, you'd have to do some more work there. There are utility functions to do this. Another one that you could use would be, I mean, you could do, I don't even know if you can do this. Let's try this one. We're not going to use this, but I want to show you the possibilities. You'll see this in Stack Exchange all the time. Ping, you win the best. You win the overly complex award for today. That's awesome. Just don't do it. All right, so that's not it. Okay, that gave us just the 12, right? So that gave us the directory it's running in, but it didn't give us the full path name to where it's coming from. Truth is, we really don't care, right? The only thing we care about is that we can resolve this answers thing over here easier. So I tell you right now, if you do this search for this on Stack Exchange, you're going to get 100 wrong answers for this. And all of them are going to be involving dir name. Why are they wrong answers to me? Well, they're wrong answers because they're unnecessary. So, man, dir name, what is dir name? Unless you're writing a POSIX shell script. And by the way, even if you're writing POSIX, did you know this, the substitution stuff actually works in POSIX? The substitution parameter expansion works in POSIX. I didn't know that until 2 years ago when I started streaming. Somebody showed me that. I could not believe it. I could not believe it. So you would use dir name or base. And what this does is it just chops off the thing, right? But you're executing a C program unnecessarily. And now I'm going to hit you with a challenge. Can anybody think of a parameter expansion that will do the same as dir name? We talked about them briefly, like very briefly. Does anybody want to try? There should never be a dir name in any bash script ever, in my opinion. Because it is a wasteful, stupid thing to do. Because it's so easy to do with the parameter expansion. Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So if you do, and if there may be a reason not to do this, and I have not yet heard it. All right. So if we want to say, we could say, okay, so declare dir equals, right? We'll put quotes for whatever reason. And then we're going to say, I want to chop everything off of the end up until the first slash, if there is a slash, right? So that would be this. And that chops stuff off the beginning, remember. Did I get that right? I think I have it backwards. Did I have it backwards? No. It's this. I mix them up. I might have them backwards. Let's try. Actually, no, I think it's this one, my friends. I think it's, I'm dyslexic a little bit, so this is the one that goes like this. Yeah, I was just going to say. Yes, it's this one. Yeah. Okay, so that says keep every... Yeah, that's right. This is the right one, I think. No, I'm not doing that. Jalopy, are you just typing random shit? I love you, dude. That's not it. I think it's this one, actually. I can't believe I don't have this available to you immediately. No, this... I'm so stupid. It's this. It's this. And we want everything up till the first slash. No? Oh, I'm not declaring. I'm not echoing it. God damn it. You're telling me I had it right, like, and I can't even. This is live coding, my friends, and I don't pretend to remember everything, so maybe it'll make you feel good about yourself. Do you feel gooder? All right, so that didn't do it. How about this one? That's what we wanted. There we go. And that's, you know what? I knew that. I knew that. Dir name for readability and subshell out. All right, fine. Considering it took me 10 times to get to the right one. Maybe so. Not my opinion. My opinion, this should be in there, even if you have to be like me and search for the right thing like 10 times in a row. Once you get good with these, I mean, that was actually my implicit one, and y'all were doing the hashtags, and I'm not gonna lie, you like made me second guess myself. I would have. So the hashtags, by the way, are the opposite. One of them goes from one side, and one of them goes from the other side. So what this says is, it says be greedy about it and gobble up every character starting from the right to the left. That's what the gobble up to the first slash. And if nothing gets matched, it just returns whatever the answer was. So let's make sure we didn't break anything, because if we do this, let's see, then we can put dir here, right? Dir slash, and that should get us what we want. So let's make sure it's working. Actually, we gotta turn it back on again, right? We turned it off already. Yeah, I exited out. All right, let's try again. Where are you? Sigh. 12, 8 ball. I still got our stupid echo in there. I don't know what's up with that. Let me go fix that. Why does it have our echo in there? Oh. There's a thing that will trim off all the delimiters too. Yeah, that's it. That was the thing I couldn't remember. Thank you for that. Yeah. So the -t says delete the delimiter on the end. It chomps it. If you know Perl, it's a chomp. So that's what's up with that. Yep. And then we can do this. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. And that's good to go, right? So the only other test we should do is actually go back into the directory itself, make sure we didn't break anything with using this. Okay, last test. Let's make a copy of it and put it into our personal bin directory. You can put this in user local bin if you want. If you have a .local bin, like I've set up on the VM, you can just add it into there. What am I doing? .local bin. There, I have added a .local bin in the VM if you have that. And when you do that, then you can just type 8 ball. Uh-oh. I was afraid of that. So we have a bug. We have a bug that says I can't find the answers.txt file because there was no slashes in my path and I don't know what to do. Right? And we added a slash to it. We added a slash here, right? So what could we do instead? Let's see if dir name would be better here. Maybe that's some of the reasons that people use dir name. Let's try. I mean, I know the other way to fix this, but I'm just curious if dir name does, since we're kind of digging into this. Dir name $0. I'm pretty sure that this might be the #1 reason that people use it this way, because nope, same problem. Because it still has to chop it, and then there is nothing there, and then this is what comes up, right? Because it's not there, and there's no way to add the path if the directory is not there, right? So that means the problem is this automatic addition of the slash, right? So what we can do to get around that, yeah, if it's empty, replace with dot, and we can actually do that here. We're not going to do any CDs. Nope. Nope. We're trying to do it without the CDs. I say get the path name. There's one possibility. This is not my favorite. Yeah. And then this is the one that has a substitution. Yeah. This is the one that does a substitution. And this is safe for POSIX as well. So this is a good way. Strip all the training for the string. This is an interesting one. Remember everything after the last /. Yep, got that. Dir name. It looks like they have a couple extraneous cases here that I hadn't caught myself. Remove all /s for the start of the beginning of the string. Leave us only the trailing slashes. This is great. Thank you for providing this, Twitch. Yep, this has got some other ones. So like if you had multiple slashes. Oh, this is actually cleaning up the dir name. This is cool. Remove the result of the substitution. Yeah, this is cool. This is really cool. This is not only is this like giving us the thing, but it's cleaning the path up. It's like removing redundancies and stuff from the end of the string. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I like that. Thank you very much for sending that. Everybody's got a copy of that in their chat. I'm going to put a related reading to this as well, so that everybody's got a copy of that. But for most cases, you just need to do the dot replacement, and we're going to do that right now. So, readme. Am I the right one? Yeah. We'll say related, and we'll paste that right here. All right. Pure SH. Oh, that's Dylan. Yeah, Dylan's fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, Dylan's like the shell god. He's been doing stuff forever. I really like his stuff. So we could do this. We could say if there's no dir, then we want a dot. Right? So I think that's enough. I might have the wrong one. But I have to copy. I have to do the copy again. That's not it. Copy 8-ball into bin. 8-ball. Yay, it got it that time. All right, let's make sure it works up here too. /8-ball. Yay, got it. Okay. And then let's make sure it does it up here. 12.8-ball. Yay. All right, so we have a all-around success on that one. And that's good. That's kind of fun. Yeah, the dog's going outside. Too much caffeine. So, yeah, my wife says, "You want to go outside?" Yeah, she's like super happy. So yeah, we did this, and this. Ding ding. What we did this one, right? Versus I mean, it's important that you understand the dir name thing, but the dir name thing still has the same problem with the whole not having a dot in it kind of idea. So this is all right. So y'all are late timers. I do the same thing though at night. I'm watching crazy stuff. You know what? There's not a lot of coders at night in my time. No, except for Gamozo. Every once in a while, he has really crazy hours. I think he's been coding for like 13 hours straight at this point. I'm pretty sure he's on Adderall or cocaine. And I love you, Gamozo, if you're watching. You're one of my favorite. Yeah, well, yeah, he does like the real serious video stuff. Yeah, he really does. It was a joke. I don't think he does drugs, but he might. You never know. He's really good. It wouldn't be the first time I heard of a hacker. You know, whatever. So here we go. This guy is dead. We got him done. In fact, we're kind of done with that challenge, and we can now move on with the last hour to. I think we're probably gonna have to do bash configuration next week, which is probably fine. But we can move on to the maps. Amphetamines? No, never. All right. So yeah, let's see. We've got a lot of possibilities here, right? We've got a lot of possibilities here. List for Chrome OS versus platform Steam. Yeah, you're in the wrong place. I'm sorry, Greg. I mean, I'm sure somebody here might be able to help you, but not right now. Yeah, that would be gaming on Linux. There's a lot of people that do gaming on Linux, but I don't. I'm on Windows. So we're done. So this particular program is done. And we can call it a day. We can ship that. In fact, let's go ahead and ship that. Let's do git add git. So if anybody wants to go get it right away, I'm going to do that. I'm going to git commit dash, and we're going to learn this as well. Dash m. I'm going to say add week 12 8 ball in bash, and all the things that we cover for that. And I'm going to take a 5 to 8 minute break, and when we come back, we're going to do. Let me check the time. Let's do a time check. We go until 6 tonight, so we have an hour. We have 90 minutes. So for the last 90 minutes, we're going to do data collections. We're going to do the associative array collection, and let's see what else we have to fit in here. We did read. We haven't talked about IFS. We will talk about that. We did talk about while. We haven't done any for yet. We need to do while and for, and we need to do the compound data types for maps. And we will try to do. We did the while loop, right? So the while loop was just an infinite loop. And of course you can add a condition there instead of true. You can have it be while and then some condition. Actually, let's do that. Let's wrap up our project with that. That'll give you a solid example of a while with a condition. So we have a while here, but it says while read the line. So it keeps reading and looping, and every time, and reads always returning true. So it's infinite, right? So one other thing you want to do is this. You want to always do IFS equals blank. And what that does is it changes the input field separator in case it has been set above, right? And the short description of IFS is the input field separator. So by default, it is a line return. But you can change the input field separator to a space or to a tab or to some word. And so it's a lot of people get very creative with using it because you can use it to split anything rather without having to use TR and stuff like that. You can use that. And I'm going to have to defer you. They're watching a stream. Kids are watching through their window watching a stream. So So you can take a look at this in man bash, and you can look at IFS, and we can talk about how it works. The internal field separator that is used for word splitting after expansion to split lines into words with the read built-in command. They keep walking by. He's like pretending to not look in. The default value is space tab new line. Every time I look at them, they get scared. So I won't look at them. The default value is space tab new line. I didn't realize it was space tab new line. Oh, it's space tab or new line. So if any of these things are the values. So the only thing you really need to know here without, me just blowing you away is you need to do IFS equals, because that will make sure that for your loop, IFS is what you expect. Otherwise, it may have been something, since this is a global environment variable, it may have been something else for before. So you should really just get used to typing IFS, right? One little caveat with read that I'll talk about as well, that's pretty standard for read, bad me, help read, is the /r, all right? Most people, we did a prompt here, right? But when you're reading like individual lines as opposed to interactively, you can use read for interactive prompts like we have. But if you were doing it another way, you might want to put a -r on there as well. That prevents read from escaping special characters. And that's really important if you want to get the line exactly as it was. And so if somebody has put /, whatever's in there for whatever reason, those will be escaped and then put into the variable, to the array, and that is usually not what you want. So basically, anytime you're doing a while, you can even alias this in your Vim or whatever, while IFS equals read -r, boom, and you're good to go. And if you want to be POSIX compliant, you can do -p on its own line, and you don't have to do that. So just remember to put IFS everywhere, and we're gonna cover that. So I'm just gonna put grok while IFS equals, make sure you understand that, read -p line. So that seriously is one of the standard things that comes right out of my fingers anytime. Oh, sorry, -r. That when I'm writing shellcode for any reason, when I want to read standard input and write a filter, which we haven't done. I'd like to make this next project that we do into a filter, which means that it reads from standard input. We also didn't finish our project. We didn't allow questions to be asked if there is an argument. So to check the argument that's coming in, I'm going to leave that for homework if you want to try to do that. It's really not that hard. I kind of want to do it, but I'm just going to let you do it. So you should be able to, detect whether you have arguments on the command line. And if you do, assume that they are, when they're combined together, that they are the question. And then you just have one question. But if you don't have any arguments, then you should say, I want to assume I'm going to be reading the questions interactively or from standard input. I think it's important to say too that you can actually pass your questions directly in. So I could say this, I could say questions.txt, right? And I could say, am I going to be a great hacker? I don't know. Will I ever be out of debt? Will Biden die before? It's horrible. How about this? Will Biden or Trump? So it's not partisan. What are we doing? We're just doing silly stuff. So now I have 3 questions, right? So let's ask all of those questions at the same time of my 8-ball program. Anybody know how to do it? 8-ball, here, questions. And then I'm just asking the 8-ball. I'm not like attacking anybody. It's like your answer will be granted. Outlook not so good. Reply hazy. Oh, you know what we need to do? We need to actually answer. We have to add the. We have to add the answer. The question. We have to say. You have to say printf line, right? And we can say you asked, right? And we can play with colors too. And I don't want to do that. Когда я говорю по-русски, make bash great again. So, welcome to the Magic 8 Ball. Answer the question. Enter yes, no question, we answer. Does printf work like with the one parameter? Yeah? Oh, no. Yes. But it'll get called out. Yeah, shell check will say, I'm sorry. I haven't been checking with shell check. I'm a bad boy. Shell check will yell at me and say, no, 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 no. You can't do that. You're supposed to do a substitution. Yeah. I don't think it actually did it, though. I know. Oh. We can do this. We could just do Q. And then we could say A. There's a very weird male voice in my apartment. It's not me. Maybe there's somebody here having a That's gonna say. Don't say stuff like that. Wait. Oh, you know why? You know why? Because it's still doing the bad one. I mean, not the bad one. We need to copy it. We need to install it. All right, here we go. Question. Yes, definitely. There's a weird fan outside. So you can put all your questions. If you want to bulk ask questions, you can bulk ask your questions. How about that? Am I going to be a great hacker? Concentrate on asking a question. Will I ever be out of debt? Without a doubt. Will Biden or Trump die before the next election? Yes, definitely. That's probably not good. So if you want to, like, if you don't have a lot of time, help real path. What am I doing? You're scaring me. You're scaring me. What is real path? Real path. Print the resolved path. Print the resolved attribute file name, but as the last component must exist. Interesting. Never used it before. Never used it. GNU Core Utils. Nice. 8-Ball speaks truth. Yeah. No, I'm not doing that. People do that, but it's gross. Magic 8-Ball. Like capitalist scrum for Lindfall. Should I actually, you know what? I probably shouldn't git commit this. I probably shouldn't git commit this. Die of natural causes. How about that? I don't know what else to say. Should I continue to stomp Turbo, Dota 2 Turbo with Furion? Will Doris get into the MoMA? Well, I'm like asking my questions in bulk. Wait. I need we've got to add art. We have to add color. Should we? Is it lower? Is it? It's a lowercase. Okay, fine. This is actually what we did in SKILSTAK. We would put the colors in and we would have fun with it. We would like make sounds and stuff. We put like emojis. You know, I got to go get some Ascii art. I have to get some Ascii art. Art Magic 8-Ball. Oh, there's a good old one. No, no, no. Where's what's his face's? There's like a really good one. Oh, by the way, I have to be careful with this because you might see like ASCII boobs. It might be ASCII booba. I hope there's not ASCII booba. It's been a thing. I've done this before and been surprised. I don't know. They probably still a TOS violation. I mean, some people, you know, I think they're erotic. You didn't want to know that. I know. Okay, wait. I know they're here. I don't think this is the one though. Or is it? I accept. So no, that's not it. How do I search? Where's the search? I want to search. Wait, is there an 8-ball here? There's an 8-ball. That looks pretty good. All right, we're going to rip that. Copy. 8-ball. All right, the best way to do this is put its own thing. All right, so it's set paste. You got to set paste, otherwise it'll like indent weird. No, that's not what I want. All right. Ooh. All right, so we could say, I mean, art equals single thingy. How's that? How's that? Declare art equals that. Cover your eyes, children. Mr. Rob is doing his thing again. All right, welcome. So, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to say echo art. Darn it. Hey, Atari Monk. What a great name. What a great name. All right, we're going to feed the questions to it. Feed me. Feed me. What? I didn't. Oh, wait. I did that thing again where I forgot to install my code. There, I got to install my code there. Damn it. Line 20 is broken. Dagnabbit. Gall darn it. This stream is degrading very quickly. All right, so it didn't like it. You know why? It's trying to backtick that. Yeah. It's trying to backtick that, and it's trying to do the thing with that. It's trying to, like, a little bit of shadow there. Oh, man. How about this? I'm sure there's a better way. But I don't know it. I don't. I mean, that's good enough. That's good enough for government work. As they say on the outer. No. I don't think it would work. I don't think. Yay! All right. Welcome to the magic. Oh man, it didn't push it over. This is called final touches. All right, there. Now, if you want to do it in color, you can. It's not that hard. You want me to show you color? It's super easy. I have a feeling you do. I can show you color. It's really fun. I was going to wait for Go to show you color. Yeah. Colors. Color. Strip. Color strip. There you go. There's colors. The rainbow connection. There's other colors. Term colors. Here's term colors. All right. So check. This is a command I have, right? So if you want to add colors to your program, it's super fast. So I'm just going to do it really fast. Bang bang. Term colors. And here's the POSIX ones, and here's the bash ones, right? You don't even have to put declare in front of them. And now you can use them. Now you can use them for everything. So if you wanted to make this, I think black is going to be black. So, well, I don't know. Let's make it blue. You'd have to put blue, right? And then it will just do it. And then after that, we're going to put a reset. And then down here, we could say declare answers. We read those all. Then we could say, welcome to the Magic 8 Ball. So we could say, we could echo art. We could do echo red. And then echo reset. And then the rest of these will be questions and answers. And then we could have the question be like green. Is that a thing? I think green is the thing, right? And the answer, no, this is, actually we could do bold. Let's just do bold. We don't have bold. We have magenta. How about magenta? Magenta. And you can do bold. I don't have them for bold yet. Magenta. And yeah. And then you could say, I don't know, blue. I mean, knock yourself out. All right. Copy, copy, copy. Where's my install? These kids are so funny. They're having fun out there, man. They have fun on their Sundays. Yay. Much better, huh? All right. So, I mean, you could clear the screen before you run it. You can use Ascii too, but that I use Printf correctly because they're direct. They don't have to be escaped at all. So there you go. You got some color in there. Boomer hacker man on a Sunday. There, yeah, they're like, what the hell? Am I going to be a great hacker? Yes. Will Doris get into the moment? Outlook nuts. Oh man. Wait, let's do it again. Don't count on it. Oh, okay. We can rely on it now. That's how fickle you are. You're going to change your mind 3 times in a row like that. The not so final touches. Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of fun you can have with it. You can put extra spaces in there and all kinds of things. It's like you just keep getting the answers you want to. Just keep running it. And the answers you want will appear. So let me commit all of this craziness. Git add, git commit -m, add color and questions to week 12. We still have to do associative arrays and the for loops. Those are the biggest ones. Drink coasters just arrived. Now you can use them. Git push. So if you want this amazing code that I've personally handcrafted for you, you can go to Architects Raw boost, and you can. That sounded like somebody crying to me. The girl is at the top of the stairs crying her eyes out, throwing a fit. I love that they chose to play right outside my window, but I don't even care. There was a time I would have cared. Go away. You're distracting me from education. Not anymore. Print 8 ball black. Yes. You can do that if you have more colors, but I don't. So 2020 boost in progress. Oh my gosh, I forgot to link it. I got to link the weeks. I forgot to link the weeks. Oh my. So you have to click on the directory, it looks like. And then here's all of the wonderful code. You can go to the 8-ball and read it in this form if you wish. And have fun with that. Get off my lawn. There's no lawn. There's no lawn. Free thinkers. All right, I need an 8-minute break. We're actually almost out of time. We have 1 hour left. I am going to take a break, and then we're gonna cram in associative arrays and for loops, and we're going to call it good after that. The rest of the special variables and stuff like that you can discover on your own, and we'll have a wrap up. So I'm going to put some music on. Some of you have probably already been taking breaks, but I need one. And it may involve another beverage of some kind. It is Sunday after all. Are you going to play that? Oh yeah, play that. Here, I'll turn it on for you. Wait, do I have? I turn stuff off, right? Get on. Is this get on with it? This is get on with it, isn't it? You and your get on with it. Put something else interesting on while they're waiting, while the kiddies are waiting at home for the next session. And by kiddies, I mean anyone under 50. So don't be offended. Gosh, let's see what's hold up. Term down. There's no hold up. I can put music on. You just need to tell me if you're going to do music. If you're not, I'm going to turn it off. Big media's off. Oh, somebody just put gunship on. Okay. If you want media, I can turn it on. I just need to know. Otherwise, term down 8 minutes to lolcat. Don't put, you put code monkey in. Of course you did. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Yeah, I love them. They're really great. In case you haven't noticed, this is, if you're new here, this is something we do here. We play Meteor Quest music, and it goes to VOD track 2, so it never gets put in the VOD. In case you're wondering. Black spheres and Mountain Dew, monkey face, and warm me simple heart, monkey like you. That was a good one to end on, huh? I couldn't quite get Neo to compile in time. Oh well. It's a fun program. All right, so back to what we were doing. Not that. Code Monkey. It's funny how old that song is. It's so old. I remember when it came out. Like what, in the 90s? It's that old, seriously, people. Good song though. Code Monkey like Tab and Mountain Dew. We got this one done. So we have remaining to cover. We need to cover associative arrays, which are only in Bash 4, and they are also very misunderstood and not used very much. So we're going to cover those. We did read in IFS really quickly. We did a couple more special variables. I think we covered all of them. So we really just need the for loop and associative arrays. So what are some alternative terms for Bash associative arrays? I think that's the math term. Throw them out there. If you're there, throw them out there. What are they? What are the other languages? What do they call them? What do they call them? I don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to give you a little time to think about it. We got dictionaries. Yes. Dictionaries. We got maps. Yes. That's all I know of. Is there anything else? Is there a Java vector version that I don't know of? Dictionaries and maps are the only ones I know. And maps, of course, referring to the whole map filter reduce. Hash tables. Yes, yes. Oh my God, yes. Hash tables. Actually, I've heard them called hashes before because they're in reference to, using the hash table. The hash table, for your FY, is the algorithm that's being used underneath to take care of this thing. And in C, when C was first made, there was no such thing as a hash table. There are libraries now to cover that, of course, but back in the day, you had to make your own. And, people say negative things about bubble sorting and stuff like that. Hash maps, hash tables. And this, when you, in computer science and my CS 101 class, when you're writing all of these sort routines, the reason you're writing them is because those are the underlying algorithms and logic behind looking stuff up really quickly in things like this in a hash table so that you can do this. In fact, you can think of it. I'm just going to throw it out there. If you didn't have hash tables, what would you use? Which, by the way, is a lot of times still faster. You'd have one array that has all of the key names. So what is a hash table? First of all, it's key name value pairs. I've heard that said, right? Key value pairs. It's more than that, but that's kind of a thing, right? So, but you could implement key value pairs with a list. Obviously, you would just have a list that has the keys, and you would have a list that has the values. And then you would use an index to associate those two together. And that way of, the linear search, the bubble search, the splitting it all up and all of that stuff, linked list, key value pair, combos. Yes, linked list is another good one. Actually, I don't know if a linked list would qualify. In a sense it would, right? Or it could have password manager works, yeah. So if you're doing a linear search, it's obviously not the most efficient. So, people ask me all the time, is it worth getting, a computer science degree? And I answer, well, it depends, but understanding how to look stuff up is super valuable. And most modern languages, including Bash these days, come with a dictionary type or a list or an associative array type. And they already do that for you. So they provide the most generalized optional way. Fun fact, In Go, looking up a key value pair in an associative array is not safe for threading, for concurrency. Can anybody think about why that would be? Since we're talking about algorithms for looking stuff up efficiently. This is super interesting. It was to me when I found out anyway. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to think about that. Why would looking up a key value pair not be safe for concurrency? Under what circumstances? It's just a read operation, right? Yeah. No, I know. Why, if just looking up a key value pair is a read operation, why isn't it safe for concurrency? Or why possibly couldn't it be safe for concurrency? It's not in Go. It absolutely isn't. It's one of the biggest complaints about Go. They actually created just in 1.19, just added a whole bunch of atomic operations to take care of this problem. Can we consider a struct like a type and array? Not really, right? A struct is not, strictly speaking, is a value. Struct by itself is just a value. A coalition of elements. Okay, there's a good hint at that. So unless you never modify a list. Okay, so the coalition or all right. So the reason that Go does not promise safe for concurrency and reads is because the algorithm that's used to associate that key to that value doesn't promise that it's not going to keep track of how often you look up a particular value. So one of the optimizations that's used to make really effective fast hashing, and there's actually done in database too. There's like an entire branch of science that I could just talk about that AI is modifying optimizations that's removing the need to do caching at all. It's like super interesting because the new AI stuff is like sort of keeping track of the most common things. So it's creating AI intelligent hashing. It's just absolutely crazy awesome because it's optimizing the lookups of the data based on the usage of the data. And that usage changes all the time. So rather than guessing what fields you need to index all the time, your AI and the database query actually keeps track of the most common usage and caches that. And that is the exact reason that Go key value map reads are not safe for concurrency, because they don't necessarily do it, but they reserve the right to do it, which means that if you do the read memoization, aren't caching API calls. I know. Yeah, but it's still they doing it. And that's the fancy, I'm glad you said that. So memoization is the fancy name for this. Function mode probably never changes list, no. But the memoization, the optimization of the reads of the potential values, that caching is not safe for concurrency, strictly speaking. So you have to still use a semaphore or some method to guarantee concurrency, some sort of atomic thing, which, by the way, 1.19 just added. Normally I would talk about that. So the first thing I want to talk about here is, first of all, I mean, there's no safety for concurrency in anything in Bash at all. So, it assumes it's like one process, one script, and I think that's important to get into. But something else that's super important before we get into this whole thing, if you know about it already, that the associative arrays in Bash are not compound. So these two compound data types, actually what I wanted to say is the collection data types. Compound data types are when you have more than one type of a type. And these, strictly speaking, are just collections, right? They're like buckets that you put in a list, you put a bunch of things in, and it's ordered, an ordered list, in an associative array, it's the same thing. It's just key value pairs, right? But you can't have the value of a list be an associative array in Bash, right? That's super important because when we get to Go and other major languages, you're going to see tons of that. You're going to see tons of like really complex structures and data types that are, compound types of other compound types. And it can get pretty involved, and it needs to get involved to support that level of development. But in Bash, no. In Bash, you get flat associative arrays that cannot have as values other associative arrays or other lists and things like that. They're just strings and integers, and that's it. Is it base name? Is yes, it's actually base name and dir name. Yeah, but you can implement both of those straight up in Bash. You don't need to do anything. Okay, so mutability should be banned. Yeah, well, it should be. I don't know. It depends, because if you don't have lazy loading and lazy, I think it can get a problem. We could debate about that another day, though. All right, so let's talk about associative arrays. We're just going to jump in right away and do one. We were doing this other 8-ball program. The program that I normally do to help you understand associative arrays is as I said earlier, it's a take on Mad Libs, which is where you would fill in words, and then those words would populate, as needed. And we're going to try to do that in Bash today. But I don't know how well it'll go, but we'll see how well that goes. So let's say Mad Lib. So the first thing we need to do is we would have to enter. I mean, you could probably get away with this with just a list, but I don't know. We're gonna see. So let's keep a Mad Lib thing. I'm just gonna call it Mad Libs. I'm gonna get sued or something, but whatever. Mad Lib, and or schmucks Mad Lib, and in the Mad Lib, it's just formatting is all it is. So bin bash, and we're gonna make a little story, right? So let's say we could say, we could take a Mad Lib. We can actually steal a Mad Lib rather than think of one, because I can't think right now. So if you want to, you can go out. There's tons of Mad Libs out there. And there's Mad Libs with 2Ds. Schmox is just an alias for small plus X, yeah. So flip-flop nouns, vacuum plural nouns. This is the official Mad Libs, but there is another. Mad Takes is the one that they got sued, actually. Be kind. So, you put a noun in here, dog, scooters, flag, place, Georgia, adjective is blue, and statue, and go mad. Be kind to your dog-footed scooters, for a duck may be somebody's flag. Be kind to your scooters in Georgia, where the weather is always blue. You may think this is a statue. Well, it is. That was not very fun. There are some pretty crazy ones, though. But what you can do is just do random, totally random, and go mad. And you can I'm just stealing this because I don't want to type my own. And so, we can put this in here and do that. Yeah, this is the number 1 playlist. It's number 2 playlist on YouTube. All right, so here we have the story. And we'll go ahead and declare this as a string. So this is just our formatted story. And let's go see if we can find all of those different things to replace again. So do it again, yeah. So adjective, I don't even remember which one was which. I don't like that it doesn't show you what okay, there we go. Look, I'll guarantee to be fidgety times. Whoops. All right, so we got to go change this. This is a little bit hard to do. But let's say we wanted to put, there will be fidgety times. This is weird. Why is it doing that weird backtick? It's very odd. All right, so anyway, you can go in and type it in. I don't particularly feel like doing it right now. do not ask. Well, I mean, we can have fun with it, but these lecture ones. So I guarantee there will be fidgety times. So we could say, like noun one. You know, I mean, what is it? What was it called? Noun one. I don't remember. Fidgety. Was that adjective? Was that adjective or I don't remember. Which one did you runaway bride proposal? Adjective, noun, number, noun, adjective, verb. I gotta keep this. I'm gonna pull this. I'm gonna copy this. I'm trying to go fast here, people, because I want you to have something fun to play with. That's not it. All right, let's do this again. Go mad. Look, I guarantee there'll be acoustic times, adjective. I guarantee that at some strategy. So that's a noun. So, I mean, you know, if you wanted to put a better name here, you could, right? You could put, instead of saying adjective one, you could say, I guarantee, you could say adjective one. I guarantee that at some matrix, noun one. I mean, we'll put the things around them just so we can see them, so they're better. And let's do this. Let's do, I don't know if we're going to do words. Words. And we could do the adjective. We could do the name. Let's still do a Mad Lib. I just don't want to do it. I changed my mind. I don't want to do it. It's too Python-y. It works better with Python. So, and that thing that I did is based on Python. So let's say you needed kind of like a struct, right? So you wanted to have a person. Let's make like a ticketing system. So you could say I have a person, and this person has a name, right? And so what is their name? So we do declare dash a person equals name. And then we have to give them a name. Let me show you. So let's do man bash associative array. You can do them many ways. I tend to be explicit with mine, but if you want to do them all at once, you can. So let me show what I mean by that. Associative declare dash a. You can have the name equals value. Let me have the form subscript equals string, index array. So, but I tend to do this. I tend to do like break it down. So I would say declare dash a person, which you have to do. You have to have dash capital A and bash to get an associative array. There's no other way to do it. It doesn't know about it implicitly. It's different from every other data type in bash. So that means, and then I tend to do this. I'll be like person name equals Rob. I mean, I'm going to stick, as long as I don't do complex things, I can just do it that way, right? So I can say, you know, person name equals Rob. And I don't even need that other part over there, I don't think. Let me make sure I can do this right. So, and let's just do printf. And we'll do the V there. And we'll say, I want person. We'll say name. I want the person's name. And then we'll do move madlib to, I don't know. I used to do students, but persons, people. I mean, it's very generic, but whatever. So people, oh, it's S, of course, because it's not Go. V is from Go, and it throws me every time. Did I not save it? I feel like a dog who's confused. I'm a very confused dog. Why are you not working? I feel like I changed you. Oh, I changed the name. I see what's up. All right, so there we go. So we got my person's name, right? So we got the first name. This is just a lot easier for me to do. I like it better this way. You can do it all at the same time, like doing it this way. And then, you know, put name equals Rob. That should do the same thing. If you want, I don't do it that way though. I don't. That's just, I don't like it. So I like them like to be kind of explicit like this. And so yeah, you can go ahead and you can put all this stuff in here like this, and you can refer to it by name, etc. Right? And I really don't know what I mean. We can put age in here. You want to know how old I am? I'm super old. I'm way old. You can put 52 in there. You could say name. I mean, this is boring, but you know, let's say 0. Let's do dash 5. No, dash 20 S, and then age percent dash 20 S I. No, that would be dash 20 I or D. I or D. I can't remember. Dash N. Yay. Didn't do it. It didn't. I'm super mad. I think I got it wrong actually. Yeah, there we go. Did I get it wrong? It centered it. I don't want it to center it. Oh, I know why. Because of this. Yeah. There we go. All right. Age 0. How am I age 0? I wish you could make it so it would auto-populate with like a format field like Python and JavaScript do, but it does not do that. Else movies are 60%. I don't know. We'll see. I hope so. Sips beer. It's O2 if you want it to be O's only if you want it to be 0 padded. I don't. However, I do want to uppercase the name. So let's do that. See that? Cool, huh? So I mean, you get it, right? So this is the closest thing you're going to get to a struct in Bash. It's kind of, you know, lame, but it works. Now let's do keys. Okay, so this is super important. A lot of times you might want to. We don't have a lot of time, so I'm just kind of cutting to it for this. You like the black magic? I'm happy. So we covered that at an earlier time too. So let's say that we want to just show the keys of the structure or just the values, right? And this is a pretty common thing when you have an associative array to loop over all the keys, right? So let's try that. And this is where we're going to use a for loop. So for loops are kind of the bread and butter of looping in every single language that exists. In fact, in Go, there's only for loops. They don't even have while loops because anything you could do in a while loop can be done in a for loop, but not vice versa. So for loops can be used to do numbers, and I'm going to show you about numbers really quickly. Everybody loves them. So let's do a for loop from the command line first of all. But for loops are a really good thing to use with associative arrays. For loops can be used to iterate over all the items in a list. They can be used to iterate over a number range. They can be used to iterate over the keys in an associative array, or the values, or both. They're designed for looping and recursing over things. Recursion is generally associated with calling another function that calls itself, but for loops are just for repetition. You see me do this all the time. So for I in, like, let's say for I in foo bar, do echo I done, foo bar, right? But here's where it gets really, really powerful. So for I in backtick ls-1, right? I mean, there's other ways to do this. Do echo $I done. Now, there's lots of ways to do this. I could have also done this. Find dash type, f exec or dash ls. Or I could have just done like this, right? Same sort of thing. Or I could have done exec wc, count how many lines are in each one of those. There's lots of ways to iterate over things. For loops are fantastic because they can sort of be used as a map function for that kind of thing. And you can embed them in other things. And when you combine the for loops with so let's say I'm writing like a Zettelkasten, and I'm writing a list.txt, and I know that I'm going to need like 20 items, right? I can write code right in here. I can do for I in with this expansion. I or 20, do echo. I do this all the time. Echo $I dot something done, and I can take that bash and bang bash, send that to bash, and I can now just replace something and like another let's see, another thing here, and you can so they're useful. They're really, really useful, and especially when you combine them with any kind of like glob expansion or parameter, or like I just did. So that's a way to do that. They're really, really useful when you have more than one word. It's really important to understand, though. Remember the IFS thing, right? So the IFS thing is what is observed when you are iterating over a for loop. And by default, as you saw, I think it's space tab, any kind of control return or something like that. It's just white space. So if you're on the command line and you're for whatevering, you might want to look at that, right? So something name with space do echo I done, and that's going to be not what you want. So now you would need to do this, right? And now you'll get what you want. Okay, so the for in thing is a great way to iterate over items that exist in kind of a Python comprehension sort of way, but not really. It's not a comprehension at all. It kind of can be, though, because you can make this into a list like this. You can say list equals, right? And did I do that right? Oh, we'd have to execute it, of course. I'd have to execute this. Give me a sec. So we'd have to execute that, but you can do that like that. And now if I echo $list, you get the first item. But if I echo $list as an array, you'll see all of its elements. Or better yet, we printf that thing as we were doing earlier. Printf, and now we get 1 for each element in the list. So we can say, s dash n, and we can get them all in there. So that's actually super interesting, isn't it? Because you see how it split it. That's very interesting because it split it on white space, even though name with space was not. Oh, that's super interesting. I wonder. This is supposed to have a quoting context. This is quotes that are always mess you up in Bash. It's kind of dangerous. Yeah, look at that. It did name with space. It read them as individual items. That's really, really interesting. It should not have done that. I got to figure that one out. It does depend on IFS, yeah. But this sub. Oh, I know what it is. Because these quotes are being executed before it's getting entered as an array. Wow. So that's actually a case where I would use read array for sure. I would use read array here. Wow, I just realized something. Let's try this with a read array. So if I did a read array, it would be read array -t to trim it. And I want to have list equal, and then I want this instead. That would be much better because this is not going to mess with name of something, name of other, do echo I done. Oh wait, let's put these in quotes too. So you see what I'm saying? Because now it's reading it as if it's a list. I think I can do this. Can I not do this? Oh wait. There. Okay, now watch. So let's do the printf list. Still not the right thing. Crap. No, it's still. This is challenging. You know what IFS is? Yeah, IFS is the thing that separates stuff. This is fascinating. You know what it is? It's because of this echo over here. This echo is not escaping it. So when it's coming over here, it's on separate lines. Yeah. Ah, that is really weird. I mean, because watch. This is fun. I'm enjoying this. It's doing it right there. I wonder if I catted that into read array. Okay. Printf v what did I do wrong? Wait, did it not read anything in there? Now I'm confused. Wow, I didn't read anything. Internal file separator. Yes. Internal input, both. This is interesting. This is why quotes get people in trouble all the time. Because the quoting is the IFS and the quoting is what's screwing us up. This should work. I don't know why this is not working. Because it's printing them out the way it's supposed to, right? And it's putting a line return on each one. And I should be able to import that into read array and have it populate lines as a list like we were talking about, right? But it's not working. Printf s lines at, maybe did I not export it or something? It's almost like lines doesn't exist. Oh, it's a subshell. Of course, it's a subshell. I subshelled it. Oh, I feel so stupid. This, by the way, this is why you never want to pipe stuff into a subshell because it doesn't exist in your top level shell. Oh, I've done this so many times to myself. I always do this. So declare a line, declare -a lines. I think this might help us. I don't know though. I don't think it's gonna be perfect. This is fun. Nope. And you know what? It's because we masked the variable. So this is actually why you don't want to mask variables. You want to use input stuff like this, but we already did that and it didn't work, right? So we did cat, and now let's do read array lines, and now let's do our thing. And now it's fine. And now it's fine. Now, what was I missing before? What was I missing? And now we can do -T to chomp it. And now we can do our lines and we're good to go. What the hell? I swear to God, I did that. What was I missing before? You could also do that. Exec. All right. So we just had a really, really good lesson in shadowing variables with pipes. And this is also the reason that you generally don't want to cat into something else. You see how the lines wasn't behind a pipe. If you put it in a pipe, then it doesn't exist. It's a subshell. It just operates. It completely gets blown away after the subshell is gone. And by reading the command into a variable at the top level using this same exact method, just in the reverse, it actually kept lines and used it. People who cat into pipe and other pipes and stuff like that, they don't even realize they're doing it, but they're shadowing the variables in a way that makes them so they don't define. I'm glad we hit that. I'm glad everybody got to see that, because that that's not really a contrived example, and that's a real solid example. And it's also a problem with like the quoting, right? The whole point of that was to show you how important it is to quote things properly, and how these things have. This is the same as saying whatever the output of this is, treat it as if it's in a file, and we're going to send that file to this thing, just like we would in our previous script. All right. So, I mean, I don't know how valuable that is, but that's what we're doing. What time is it? I got 15 minutes.
I know.
Thank you. All right. So I got 15 minutes. My wife's telling me there's dinner. She's yeah. All right. So associative arrays. So the only other thing we need to know about associative arrays is that first of all, I don't think you can read them from a file. I've never been able to figure out how to do that if you can. If anybody knows, let me know. It's not something that I've ever read about how to do. But one of the things that is super valuable, and I use this in my complete script all the time. So I'm going to give you an example of this stuff where I use it. I use it in my an actual usage. So this is in my ops API build script to do tab completion. So, and when you're looking at this now, some of this stuff might look a little bit more familiar to you, hopefully. Remember, next week is going to be bash configuration. So you should be able to start looking through my files or somebody else's files and understand what's going on. Yes, I'm definitely VI mode. I would never do anything but VI mode. I think it's silly to use anything but VI mode. If you're using VI for everything else, why wouldn't you use it for your history? So by doing this, here's a good old read line, right? So this reads the entire file. And yeah, it reads. See, now you understand what it's doing, right? It reads the whole file, and it checks to see if the line begins with declare-f. And if the line does, then it continues. If it doesn't, and then it adds the commands to a list. This is a list that's happening, and it chops off the name of the function. What this is doing is it's loading any of the functions that begin with x dot into the tab completion cache. So then you push tab and it knows what to type out. And so then that's it. And then that passes into it declare-f. So declare-f is just shows you all your functions that have been exported in your environment. And when you run that from inside of a program, like this, it gives you the ones that are there. And so it looks for any that begin with x dot and adds them to a list of possible commands. This is an array, and you can append to the end of the array using this. That's what this is doing. And then over here we have map file, which is the same as read array, which we were just talking about. And this reads the LC collate of all of the commands. It takes the entire command list right here. Remember that whole printf trick we were talking about? where you printf one value and then you send the whole array to that, what does that translate into? That translates into the equivalent of a file with each command on a line. Okay, so this stuff right here, I'm really glad we're going through this because you should be able to understand everything in this file now. It looks pretty cryptic, but you should know it all now because we've covered it all. So this is exactly, as I just said, this is the exact same as, you know, passing in a file that contains the commands one on each line, which it then runs through the sort command, which organizes them alphabetically. And this variable is to tell sort to do sorting lexically based on C. So that's an environment variable set to an executable, which only has to be an executable. And then the output is a list of commands, one per line, that then gets sent into the map file, which makes a list, a commands list, an array that has one per line. So at the end of this, it gets a sorted list of all the possible commands that begin with x dot, and that gets put into the commands array. And so then at that point, we can check. We can say, look, if comp line has been set, which is what we detect to see whether they've hit tab for completion or not, then we can like go through the line, clean the line up. What does this do? This removes everything up to the first space, non-greedily. And then it says, okay, for all the commands, so it loops through all, there's your loop. It goes through all of the commands. And then we did so for each command in our list that we built up earlier, it prints them out and it says, does the comp line, does the thing when they hit tab, whatever was on the line, does the first part of that line, so this says start from the 0 of that item. For each item in the list, go from 0 to the number of items in the line. So if they've hit, they're only typed the first two letters, then it'll compare the first two letters to that. And then this forces the line to lowercase. So the comparison is always in lowercase. And it says, okay, so if the first two letters when they hit tab match it, then go ahead and echo that thing. Because all you have to do for completion with complete-c is produce a list of all the possible things that can be used for completion. That's all you have to do. And then after it gets done with that, it prints the list out. The rest of this, by the way, this says done and exit because that means that tab was pressed and this program was run in completion context. So we have if statements going on there. If we come down here and we go to for C and commands, so this is assuming that we're not in completion context. We actually want to run the command. And so then it goes through all the commands and it says, oh, appreciate it. And then it goes through all of the commands and it says, okay, for C and all of my commands that I made up earlier, does the current first argument match? Do I have a function for it? If I have a function for the name, then I should run it. And so it runs it by building up the name of that function and then passing all of the arguments that were passed to this command to that function and then exiting with the same return code of the function that just ran. Every one of these things that we just talked about, we have covered in the last 2 weeks, every single one of them. So if this stuff is still foreign to you, I encourage you to kind of really dig into some of this stuff and understand what it's doing. We have the -n that says, if I have a first argument, -n meaning non-empty. If I have one, then go ahead and declare a command to be that argument. And then you will do a shift, which takes that off of the first argument list. And then it does the same thing for the C in the commands. We're going to go see if we have a command that matches it. It's the same sort of thing. I think this is just to catch if it has an argument. This is the one if it doesn't have an argument. That's like if the base name matches. I think this is if it has like the first argument. So it's that whole monolithic command thing. And by the way, when I run this, let me just show you how this works. So when I run this, I run build tab, and I get all of the functions that are there for free, right? Because all of these functions, fetch jar, check defs, whatever, those get completed automatically. And that is largely because of these associative arrays and these lists that we've been talking about. So I can hit tab and do the thing, right? And it just knows what's under there. If I want to actually run one, I can do that. I can just run check go. And by the way, I can complete these as well. And I can just run check go and it'll tell me, or I can build check deps, and then I'll check all my dependencies and see if I have every version. And by the way, that project is my ops API project. If you want to read that build script, it's under ops API dev. It's actually kind of a fun little build script because it does give you a little bit of everything we've talked about, right? It's got local variable declaration. It's got parameter expansion. It does have a little pipelining going on. It uses regular expressions to chop out, different pieces of the variable. It's using our printf trick. It's got a little bit of everything. So you might want to just have a look at that and make sure you understand what's going on. There's right here. We have some. This is some pipeline logic, or some what am I calling, short circuit logic. We're using because we use an OR here. We had to make sure this stuff is all grouped with prints. And we count the fails. It's got math. It's got a little bit of everything. So let's go back to, and then we have, the interop API thing. There was the whole trick we were talking about finding the right file. I realize now I might be missing a dot by default if they can't find the file, but that's that whole thing with the $0 we were talking about. All right, so back to our people. Let's go do our people again. And we'll be done. I think we only have 10 minutes left. So there's another thing you can do here, and this is a little bit weird, but you can get all of the keys using exclamation point. So, and I have to look this up every time because it's so weird. It's like an exclamation point, right? And it's like exclamation point. I think I want to say name, and I think I need to say I want to look up name in the person array, and I don't remember. I'm gonna have to go look it up, but it's pretty crazy. Indirect expansion, invalid indirect expansion. So we're gonna go ahead and try that. I think it's person name. No, that's not it. I don't know what it is. I think this is like the name of the array. I have to look it up. But basically what I'm trying to say is you can do indirect associative array lookups by name. Did you get it? Is it person? Did I miss it? I don't use it very much, but I want you to know it exists because it's super powerful. So yeah, people, 52 age. Okay, so you see that? That's good. All right. So that actually gives you all of them. So let's printf that. So this gives you all of the keys by name, and then you can loop through them. That's what I was trying to get at. All right. So instead of doing age and name, we can actually loop through that if we wanted to, and we can do this instead. We can say for how about that? For field in blah, 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 right? We can do printf do, this will be the last thing I do today. So do printf, right? And then we can actually do the S, we can do the S here, and we can make the first one the field. And we can, if we want to, we could capitalize the field. So we could say, I want the field name, right? But then you probably want the field value. So we're going to say, let's say S. I mean, we could probably do like a 10. We could do 10S there and just S here. I think we're probably good. I don't know, let's try. And then I do the actual field value, and this is what gets really crazy. So then we're going to say person field, right? And did I get that right? And let's see. And then we do the equal sign. And if I did this right, we shouldn't have to do this anymore. And then if we add a name like hair non-existent facial. How about that? All right, just write person age. You can do it that way too. It's however you want. I mean, that's the thing. You can do it either way. This does make iterating a little bit easier. I know you're like, this is easier, but you see what I'm saying? So, you know, and then of course you can upper field this if you want as well. So now you've got, you know, facial hair, whatever. And then you could add another field. You could say person, spouse, you know, whatever equals Doris. I mean, you get the point. I don't have to change the code. So I can iterate over whatever, you know, other things I want to bring up. I can kind of iterate over them without having to like hard code them. So that is associative arrays. That is for loops. The only other for loop you need to know is an incremental for loop, which we already told you. You can do for I in if you just want to count 10, you know, and just do it that way. We already done that. But if you have a specific number you want to count to and you want to use variables, then you can use the good old fashioned for loop syntax like this, which is something I don't use very much because if I'm doing that, I usually write a real program, but it's worth trying. So I think it's like, you know, the I equals 0 kind of stuff. I plus plus, I is less than 10, do, done, echo, I don't know if that's going to work. We'll try. Nope, didn't even run. It did not even run. Did I do it wrong? What did I do wrong, guys? Did I define I up here? I think I might have to do local, no, declare -I for integer I. I think I have to do that. I don't remember though. What am I doing wrong? I don't do for loops this way very much. Oh, thank you. So, oh, right. This is the condition. Oh yeah, init check change. Yeah, init check change. Initialize, check, change. Initialize, check, and change. Init check change. Init check change. Init check change. Init check change. So that should work, yeah. All right. So, and I mean, you can increment by more than that if you want. You can check whether it's less than the max. Declare max equals 20. You know, actually, you don't even need to do that if it's in that kind of format. You can just put max it without the thing, and do that. So that's a traditional for loop. We're gonna get really into for loops like that a lot in Go. I almost never use for loops like that in Bash because I just don't need to. I'm usually iterating over something. And yeah, it's time for me to go eat some food. It is 6 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up today. There will be questions tonight. So if you just a reminder, !Cal will get you the calendar. And we're going to be taking boost questions and having a live session tonight from 6:30 to 7. You can come back and ask me anything, preferably about the boost, but really about anything about technology. And that will be running live. You can join me in the Discord and talk live if you wish, or whatever else. And I will be trying to answer boost questions from the Boost 2022 hashtag channel in Discord. If nobody has an immediate question about today's session. Otherwise, I'll see you soon after that. All right, take care. And if you want, we can go ahead and somebody easily, readily available to raid. We could raid Jess. Let's go raid Jess. I love raiding Jess. I love raiding Jess. She's one of my favorite people to raid. Go party. Everybody go tell Jess that you worked hard and it's time to party. Okay? Please tell Jess hi for me and tell her it's time to party. Okay. Bye. See you soon.